Mhm. Done? You guys good? Okay. 6 o'clock, we're gonna get the meeting started. Mike, I don't know what it is. Okay. 6 o'clock, I'd like to call this meeting to order. Before we make a motion to approve the agenda, I'd like to adjust the agenda. Slide the, basically almost the last thing where it says discuss action. Prior to adjourning meeting, supervisor shall review draft minutes, just so we can take care of that at the beginning, so we know what we're doing. I'd like to slide that up to right after public comment, so. If I hear a motion to do that, to adjust the agenda and slide it to the forward after public comment.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it. We have motion and second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed?
Nay.
Nay? Okay, 2 yeses and a no that. Okay, that being said, we got that adjusted. I need a motion to approve. I guess we did that. Agenda's approved. Let's do the pledge of allegiance. All stand, say pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Something else I forgot to say, if the Fremont County supervisors call in at any time, we'll just pause the meeting there, because they're calling in our meeting, and try to accommodate them. If it works, we might jump them up if we aren't there yet, so they can get their business.
And Jacob, I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm on here right now with the teams.
Okay, let's see.
I'll take, might as well do that.
Well, I don't know, I'd say we could just go ahead and take care of that if you want. Let's go ahead and take care. We're gonna jump ahead, everybody on the agenda, jump down to the discuss action Johnson Run levy meeting with Fremont County Supervisors. We have is that Chris on the phone? I can't see.
Nope, it's Clint Blackburn.
Okay.
When we just were discussing it before, the actual balance has changed. I think I sent it over to Christy, but anyway, the actual balance in Johnson Run is $62,368.43.
62,348 or $68.
68.43.
Okay. And that was not the number. I was absent for that meeting. I was out of town that time. So that number is different than what we had for that meeting, I'm assuming.
It is because we were taking it from the total drainage districts altogether. And so the treasurer had been gone. So we got the correct balance from her.
Okay.
So as we discussed then, I think basically the whole thing is that, do you have anything that needs to be done in Johnson Run?
Not that I'm aware of at this time, no.
We had no issues to take care of, so. On that, do we need a motion to take no action in
Yes.
Johnson Run?
Yes.
We're gonna do nothing with Johnson Run Drainage District at this time. So that's the balance we have in the bank to do work when we need to.
Yes.
So I need a motion to take,
So we won't do any levy for next year because we have a big balance.
we have plenty of money, we won't levy.
So
I'll
I'll make
second.
So make the
before
motion.
you make a motion.
Go ahead,
Okay, I'll make a motion that we take no action.
and I'll second that.
And that means no levy for.
No levy for 23 or 24, 25,
There will be no levy for 24,
23, 24,
23, 24. Before we said it 100 ways. Re-say that again.
23, 24.
This for,
To not levy anything for 23, 24 fiscal year.
motion to take no action, not levy any money for 23, 24 fiscal year for Johnson Run.
Right.
Okay, is there a motion? I got a second. Todd made the motion, Judy seconded. Your discussion on that? Fremont County had discussion, anything else?
Nope.
Okay, all those in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay, that's done, thank you.
thanks, Clint.
Thanks for joining.
All righty. You guys have a good evening.
We'll jump back up to public comment, and like I say, one at a time, please speak at the podium, state your name, be professional, no swearing, try to just be respectful of everybody at the time, so we can move through this quickly. So, if there's any public comment, now be the time.
I have a letter to read that came this afternoon from a concerned citizen.
Who is it?
I don't know who it is.
And it was in
I'll tell you
the
why.
spam,
It could be
because
spam.
it was in our spam account. It went right to our
Well,
spam account.
Well, if it's anonymous.
I took it for this because they want to be anonymous because they fear after something happened at, when another person spoke, they wanted to speak their mind and say what they thought.
I do have in our rules for public comment, you state your name and where you're from. I mean, that's kind of what we do.
And
So.
yeah, so I don't think it can be read.
Okay,
Then it's over.
Well, people have copies of it.
Yeah.
so you can have copies of it.
It's in a spam folder. So is there any other public comment?
My name is Carrie Preble. I'm a citizen of Florinda. Jake, when you were first elected to the Board of Supervisors, you went to Judy's house on multiple occasions, made lots of phone calls to her and really valued her opinion. You asked about budget questions, legal questions, along with many other board items. You personally told people about how helpful she was to you and how you appreciated her help. Why is it now that when you're in the boardroom, you do not listen and you continually argue? Judy seems to be the only voice of reason on this board currently. One excellent example is with the Jacqueline's liquor license passing. While you and Todd were professing your strong Christian faith to the entire county, Judy continued to sit there and tell you legally you had to approve the liquor license over and over. Judy is the daughter of a minister, the sister of a minister, and the wife of a minister. This, along with the way Judy lives her life, speaks for itself, and there is no need for her to profess this at the county board meeting, where it does not belong in the first place. Just take a moment and think about this. Next, I'd like to discuss the ARPA money. It is my understanding that the county or the committee that sat down to decide how the money was spent were 4 elected officials. Brenda Zayas, the reporter, has 28 years of service. Melissa Wellhausen, the auditor, has 12 years of service. Angie Dow, the treasurer, 9 years of service, and former supervisor. Now you're personally deciding where these people want to choose what to do with their money and not what you want. The treasurer, the reporter, and the auditor have much more experience and the time served in their elected positions serving the county than you have. My question to you would be, what in the world makes you think that your time on this board trumps any of their opinions? Do you have a hidden agenda? Are we trying to repay only the people that have supported you when you were running for office? Your time as a supervisor on this board should be spent serving the entire community and just not a chosen few. It is a complete shame that we are doing this to the conservation department. They have been planning on these ARPA funds and had originally allotted them to do work on a dam at Pierce Creek. Things that have been directed by the Iowa DNR to do so. If that dam fails and it floods farmlands, who is responsible? You are a farmer, so how would you feel if this happened to you? Again, only worrying about those chosen few. Now I see on the agenda for tonight that you want to waste money to hire another attorney to deal with a simple HR complaint. The attorney you want to hire is from out of state. Doesn't the county already have Ehlers and Cooney on retainer to deal with human resource issues in this county? Why would we propose spending money on an out-of-state lawyer? This makes no sense whatsoever. How many lawyers are we going to hire for the county? We are wasting money we are wasting money and horribly. Is there money that is in the supervisor's budget to cover this? And are we being fiscally irresponsible and going over our budget? Are the ARPA money to remove the trees and to make the repairs on the dam at Pierce Creek? Are the money to make the repairs at the dam at Pierce Creek and quit wasting our money on frivolous things, please? An example of good fiscal responsibility would be the suggestion that we brought into the board when Judy came up with the idea of the chairlift for $16,000 to meet the ADA compliance of the county annex building, which was not approved because Jacob didn't think so and didn't think it was necessary. It was much cheaper than any other option. Choosing to ignore this issue shows that once again, Jacob's disregard for the people of Page County and actual laws. The annex building is owned by the county and by law it must be ADA compliant. Nowhere in the law does it state that because the floor is not being used on a daily basis, does it not have to be compliant? Question, is there a problem with work being done to the bathroom? On which floor and where would people use that bathroom on the second floor? And what happens to those people that need to use those facilities and they are disabled? This still needs to be addressed and taken care of. But like many things, we are not understanding the law, and nor does he do his research. Todd, you are a supervisor on your own. Please start researching and doing your job. I know that Jacob's group has your ear and probably constantly emailing, texting, and calling you. And they are very few in this county. You were elected by a lot more people than these few. You need to be able to stand on your own and quit just following Jacob's lead. Start representing the majority rather than the few. With the industrial background and cost reduction background, you should be able to make an educated guess decisions on your own. And if you just take a little bit of time and do your own research, I would really feel that you would bring a lot to this table and make a difference in this county. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Jane Stimson. I'm on the conservation board, and we had a meeting after the supervisors chose not to spend money from ARPA to talk about it as a board. And we came up with a lot of different ideas, and we found out that conservation has money for the trees, and it can be done cheaper than what they've gotten bids for. So I think it's pretty neat. I mean, people, we're gonna look for different options instead of the ARPA money, so the ARPA money can be used, I think, on roads, which I don't know if you were saying that roads are nothing, but for those of us that live on them, they are something. And that there's quite a few people that live on roads in this county, as far as I know. So the conservation thing, he was disappointed because somebody else promised him some money. He got $120,000 to do things, the conservation did, and that's a lot of money. And I think we're gonna go on and do some problem solving in a creative way that's gonna work.
Thank you. Any other comments? If we're good, then we'll go on to, I jumped up the, that almost last item there where it's about, getting our minutes for the end of the meeting. And before I go into this, well, maybe we should make the motion. Then we'll discuss it. I made a motion, I'll make a motion just like it reads here. I'll make a motion that prior to adjourning of our meeting, our supervisor meetings, that we will review the draft minutes and provide additional additions, deletions, corrections, and changes to the clerk if needed. Then approve the said minutes with amendments. I'll make that motion, and I make that motion, and do I have a second on that motion?
1 second.
Okay, now we go to discussion on that.
What are you,
And so, what's
I
that?
do have a comment to make from Melissa. And she said that you do not have the authority to decide how her office is gonna run. And that we will not, you do not work for the auditor's office.
We're gonna go ahead and go on to our meeting. Thank you for that comment. So on that, there's a motion and a second here in the Iowa code that has been printed to me several times. 349.18, which is in the stuff with Carl and everything, it says all proceedings of each regular adjourned or special meeting of the Board of Supervisors, including scheduled bills allowed, shall be published immediately after the adjournment of the meeting. It goes on down here, it says they shall furnish a copy within 7 days to the newspaper, but it says shall be published immediately after the adjournment of the meeting. I'm trying to, and this has never been, this 7-day issue has not really been followed like it probably should have been until very recently. You can go back, you can go back and look at the minutes, the newspaper, what they were put in, it would get to be way behind, lots of times. But now all of a sudden it really matters. And that's fine, we need to make it quick, and I'm good with that. And I think immediate, like when John Hirschberg spoke and said, and other supervisors have told me, if you have issues like this, you need to take your minutes into the meeting, you can work on them, finish them, and pass them. So what the auditor clerk chooses to do is we're gonna have to go have that decided bigger than us, but we have a motion on the floor. Been seconded. That's why I'm doing this. I believe it's the right thing to do, to have the Board of Supervisors take care of their minutes.
you can make your motion and you can second it, but it will do no good because you can't tell the auditor how to run her office or how to do the minutes.
Well, in my opinion, the role of clerk is different than the role of auditor.
No.
He serves as clerk.
She serves as clerk, but it's still, you cannot tell her how to
She's
do it.
not in the audit room.
This is the role of.
Yes,
clerk.
she is. She's in the auditor as serving to the clerk of
Not
law.
when they're sitting here, they are not.
Yes,
It
she's,
says clearly that they are clerk to the Board of Supervisors.
but she's also the auditor who is serving
But
as,
she's in a
In that
different.
different role.
you can keep arguing if you
I'm
want
not
to,
arguing, I'm just stating
But-
the facts.
but
We're
you
gonna-
cannot tell the auditor what to do.
we're
Period.
asking
Nobody's
simple administrative.
Yes, you are. You're
Simple
trying.
administrative duties to help this get fixed.
You
Another
continue,
question I have is, we've asked you multiple times to come speak with the auditor in her office, and have you?
We will speak in the meeting about the minutes. I will not come speak alone in the auditor's office. I've been accused of things by the auditor. They're false. I will not.
paranoia.
No, that's good practice. So so we have a motion on the floor, we have discussion. This is why we're doing it. We would just, and to be clear right now, as when I left home, I still didn't have the minutes from last week. The newspaper, I think, has them. We do not have the minutes. We have not seen last week's minutes. Every board I've ever been on, be it in the FFA, we have the minutes. I have nothing I can see right now, nothing to look at. We need to go to the Attorney General. I talk to attorneys and other supervisors about this. This is something unheard of.
You know what?
We have an issue, so we need to deal with it. Now, you know what? They can choose not to listen to this, but this will be an action that's been taken. And they will choose as clerk to not, this is a very simple action. And we don't even have the minutes from last meeting. We do not have anything to look at. We cannot amend them, vote on them. We don't have. They're being withheld because the decision has been made that somehow the clerk is in control of the minutes completely. And we had zero say, and even, I guess we don't even approve them. They're whatever her editorial, I guess. So, and I don't believe that's right. So we need to go to the Attorney General. That is,
You cannot go to the Attorney General.
well,
And you cannot hire an attorney out of Omaha to go to the Attorney General because they will not talk to them.
that's not what we can do. That's not all.
That's what you have on the agenda to do.
No, to help write the questions. That's all it is. They're not knowing.
We're not,
Well, we'll see.
we'll get to that point in a minute.
Todd and I were elected to sit here, Judy, and we're gonna see what we're gonna do. We'll go to discussion and we'll sit here. So anyway, this is a simple motion. We would like to have the minutes at the end of the meeting. And that also means we would like to have the minutes from the last meeting too. I don't know where they are. But we have a motion on the floor. We have discussion here. A discussion on that, and a vote on that. Yep. So this is a clear action, it's a clear motion. And everybody understands, we don't have,
Why the minutes didn't get sent to us, emailed, like usual?
don't know.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
I did send lots of, I sent 5 previous copies of minutes that they
I saw that.
did really well on.
Yeah.
Tried to communicate with the auditor on that, so
Did you hear something back on that?
no.
Not a comment back. So you did reach out and sympathy, like you said, no comment from the auditor. Okay. So we have a motion on the floor to receive our minutes at the end of the meeting. And so we can go over them. We'll take a break. We'll be courteous. We can take an hour break if we need to and come back and do it. It doesn't matter. We'll be slow and kind as we can be. But we would like to do this so we can solve this problem and move on. So we need to vote. I guess we'll roll call this. I mean,
I don't
I
know.
guess roll call this, please, Kristen.
Yes,
No,
Yes, thank you for doing it. Okay. We voted, I didn't stop for comment. Okay. We voted on that, it's clear and it's done. We would like to have that, the board has made that known. Now we'll jump to the engineer update. And rather do that, JD.
Good evening, J.D. King, Page County Engineer. Extra fine day in Page County with a little rain in the morning, maybe some fall. And news, the engineer update was sent out Tuesday evening. Blades were on birds. We had a couple blades working down on teak, following up from our blade school where we were training out there between 280th and 290th. Had a crew hauling riprap to X Avenue on various slides. The pipe crew sometime got to work on N Avenue. Even heard from a neighbor there that he wondered about closing the road, notifications and such. We had a couple mowers running. All the pavements have been mowed before the 4th. Out on the bigger pavements with wider right of ways. We've got a couple of rock projects we're gonna work up in the northern part of the county. And we pulled the blades off. Well, we didn't blade today. We were washing bridges. Depends if it rains overnight or tomorrow, what we do next week. And we have some motor graders being serviced in the shop. Number 1 was an oil change only service. Number 3 is a 2,000-hour service. And I was advised that the new skid steer is down. We got some metal shavings in the hydraulic system. It's back to the dealer. These things happen. Moving on to the engineering lot, we've got to continue to do form work on the Essex Bridge. They're working on the approaches on the 280th Street Bridge. The bridge part is done. Now we're working the dirt and the approaches. We staked tentative right of way on T34 on 190th Street. And we've got several agenda items. We'll take them into order here. As discussed last Thursday, JB Holland was apparent low, and indeed DOT did send us a contract for them. You have the first page in your packet. You need to award this contract to JB Holland for $1,274,510.56. JB Holland's working right now over in Fremont County. I anticipate them coming in July or early August. Work on J Road, which is earlier than contractors often come to the south here.
You ready for that? I'll move that we award that contract to JB Holland for $1,274,510.56.
Second.
That's for J Road. Okay, got a motion, second, or discussion on that? Award that. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. No, that's good.
Okay, the next item is resolution 35-2023, where the board, after what you have here and was sent to the auditor, the board authorizing me to digitally sign this contract through the DOT system. Routine paperwork with our electronic stuff. Adopt this resolution. That's Title 6, that we're thinking.
I'll move that we adopt resolution 35-2023.
Second.
Okay, a motion and a second. What exactly is this to sign? What are you signing?
You awarded the contract that I'm signing.
This is signing on that contract.
Yes.
Okay. I understand that then. Any other discussion on that? Okay, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. You got that done?
Pass this with those.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda is fuel bids. We take fuel bids every year in June. The next fiscal year. Had 3 bidders. Hagerland here in Clarinda was low. So I recommend that we award the contract for fuel for secondary roads to Hagerland and Fest.
What is the price stated on here? What's the actual, this is all.
Okay, this is the margin of the rack price at the term.
So there's 7.5 cents over. Is that, am I reading that right? No,
Right.
13 cents over.
Depends on if you're buying gasohol or diesel or number 2 or number
Right.
1.
Makes sense. Just trying to
So for example,
let
on
the
number
public
2,
know.
it's 8.6 cents above the rack price.
And the other bid is 11.5 cents. Just kind of give
Correct.
a reference here on number 2 diesel.
Right.
They rate about 8.5 cents and 11.5 cents. That rate. So we're locking in our
Correct.
price next.
The margin. I mean, the
Margin.
diesel price will go up and down with the market, and this is the
Margin.
difference. This is the handling and delivery fees.
Right,
It's really not very much money.
right. A lot of fuel, buy a lot of fuel. Okay. Now. We need a motion on that to award Agriland a low bid.
Yes.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
We got a motion on the floor to award Agriland The second is the bid for our fuel list next year, they're the low bid. Discussion? Yeah.
Yeah, I was just wondering, maybe who are the other people who like that? Yes,
Sapp Brothers and Miller Oil.
that brothers, I'm sorry.
Miller Oil.
Yes, sorry. Agriland, Sad Brothers, Miller, three bids. And they were the low. Agriland was the low bid. So we have that, our discussion on that. Awarding this fuel bid. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay,
And I have, Title VI. Site review, form. This is the last Title VI document we had. We did two a couple of weeks ago. And I need to approve this and have the chairman sign it. Then we'll send it back to the Title VI people in DOT.
Title VI means, well, I'm looking at ADA.
Civil rights.
Civil Rights Act, we're compliant with that. We're, right. Just so everybody knows what we're signing here. That we're compliant with the Civil Rights Act of 1964 in these areas.
Right.
Okay,
I'll move that the chair signs the Title VI compliance state review.
Second.
all right, with a motion and a second, any discussion on that? Any discussion? What we're doing? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good sign.
There's the,
Yeah, that's good. Pick up.
Finally, on the agenda items, I have a map down with, the road southeast of College Springs. IMO telephone out of Coin has another utility permit there. They haven't been in something for a while, so, but they're not done with the pollen broadband in the county, so I need a motion to approve that utility permit.
Understand what that is, see the map?
Yeah, one's down here with the greens.
Yeah, the green line there south, east of College Springs. Brian,
I'll move that we approve the utility permit for IAMO.
okay,
Second.
got a motion and a second. Any discussion on that? And we're doing. Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good.
Now, I've got one more thing. Page County Engineers Office is very pleased to announce successful award of a raise grant for 2023. It's going to fund 9 bridges in the state of Iowa, including bridge on the screen, Essex North.
Good deal.
That's going to bring in approximately $3 million in bridge money for the county. Right now, it's estimated at $3.7 million for this 454-foot bridge. Length 30-foot wide. It's a sister to the bridge that's we're building in west of Essex. The bridge north of Essex was built in 1949. It's 365 foot long, only 22 foot wide, and weight limited. So the tentative schedule for this would be let it in the fall of 24, not this fall, but next fall, and build it over the winter like we're building the one in West Essex. That would be our plan. And then, since I was feeling pretty good about this, I thought I'd look back in some history here to several of our large bridges. This is extra. We get, Page County gets about 650 to 700,000 HBP dollars or bridge dollars every year. But we've been fortunate enough to bring in some extra money for our bridges. We've got $2 million for the Shamball Bridge. This was the County Bridge Construction Fund back in 2016, 2017. After that, we got $1 million from the City Bridge Fund for the Clarinda Bridge east of town here. We picked up another $295,000 as a part of Braddyville's culvert there west of town. Well, it's inside of town. And then CHBP money up on J20, about $355,000 there. Got another $1 million in City Bridge Fund for the Essex job. And then this one is 2.96, so my addition is good. There's about $7.6 million in extra bridge money we've been bringing to the county over the last several years. So,
That's good. That is good.
so thank you.
A lot of
That's why I'm wearing the tie today.
That's a nice one.
That's, I see that, it's a nice time. A lot of the supervisors in the counties talk about bridges being a major issue everywhere there are bridges out, so I'm glad every time we get a bridge taken care of. One compliment, I had a text from a guy west of College Springs that said, I don't know, he said the guy grading out there was doing an excellent job last few days.
Good.
So we hear, I like to say that out loud in the meetings, they got a compliment, he was really shaping the roads good, it's a huge improvement. He said, it's awesome.
I'll pass that on. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, and did you have a comment?
Is RISE money Iowa DOT or is it federal?
It's a RAISE grant. It's not RISE. RAISE, that stands for some, acronym that the feds have, is federal dollars. It'll take farm to market match.
We'll take.
The match money is farm to market.
Farm to market, farm to market bridge,
Farm to market.
or farm to market.
It's farm to market.
Fine.
The whole thing.
Oh, that's sweet.
Thank you.
Additional money. Okay, now. Done with the engineer update, we're to Doyle Turner Carbon Sink LLC.
Hello, Doyle Turner, 2738 200 Street, Mobile. I'm not actually with Carbon Sink LLC. I refer to myself as an economic activist. We have, everybody's aware of the CO2 pipelines and the controversy with the ethanol plants. I invested in a company years ago that was selling CO2 and making a lot of money at it. The CO2 that our ethanol plants put off is 98% pure. Industry standard is between 10 and 12%. What happened is the federal government dangled 45Z money out in front of our ethanol plants. And they thought, well, we'll grab that money real quick. And they signed away their rights to a very valuable commodity, that commodity being CO2. So it doesn't look like that pipeline is going to get done anytime soon. And that 45Z money will never go to our ethanol plants because it only lasts for 3 years. And it's going to take longer than 3 years for our ethanol plant, for our pipelines to get done if they ever get done. So essentially our ethanol plants gave their CO2 away for nothing. Now, what I have done is I have found 2 companies, Carbon Sink LLC and Cap CO2, and they're willing to buy that CO2 from the ethanol plants. Now, once the pipelines decided that they were going to use eminent domain, that opens up a whole new door under Iowa law that they have to prove that that pipeline is both convenient and necessary. You will find that in 479B that the Iowa Utility Board runs under. You will find it in eminent domain law in Iowa Code 6A.21 and .22. It's also very in the Putney versus IUB case, which is what really set the tone for Iowa for eminent domain. So what I'm doing is I'm working with counties. You are represented by Timothy Whip, correct?
Yeah, I engaged him, we've not done much yet, we need to.
Okay.
start that. We've
I
started.
convinced Woodbury County to join that group and go with Timothy Whipple. Timothy Whipple is mainly working with zoning issues. That's a defensive move. And what I'm looking at is also an offensive move. So since counties have the right to also do eminent domain for economic development, then counties also have the standing to oppose eminent domain that doesn't create economic development. When you take a valuable commodity, take it out of state, you didn't pay for the commodity, you did not add any value to the commodity, and you stick it in a hole in the ground. I'm an economist. There is no economic development there. The only economic activity that's going on is our federal government is giving billions of dollars to some of the most wealthy people in the world. BlackRock has more money. They own Navigator. They own a portion of Navigator. BlackRock has more money under management than every country in this world has GDP, with the exception of China and the United States. That is the definition. That's the textbook definition of trickle-down economics. So what I'm looking for, I had a letter of intent from Carbon Sync. I later found out technically the plant at Shenandoah isn't actually in this county. Okay, that was my error. Those letter of intents are actually supposed to go to counties that have an ethanol plant within them. But this is a case that even at that, I'm looking for all counties to look at least talking to this attorney, knowing what your rights are. First off, know if you have any conflicts of interest with this attorney, and to bring about a court case that would oppose the eminent domain based on lack of economic development. And what I'm asking from the board is that the board would consider letting the board chairman at least talk to the attorney, not engage the attorney or anything like that, but just to make sure that there isn't any conflict of interest. And then I'm working on putting Zoom meetings together with Carbon Sync and CAPS CO2 with board presidents so that they can get a better feel for what actually goes on. These two companies are looking at putting methanol plants at each and every ethanol plant. So it would make the real question isn't fine safe for transporting CO2. The real question is, why are we transporting CO2? We can make it into a valuable commodity right there at the ethanol.
Well, I don't know what we can do or not do.
And those are questions for the attorney.
Yeah, and so I guess we need to figure out what the options are. I have no idea.
Okay.
But I understand your idea of why would we haul it out of here? If it can work right here, I understand your concern. So we need to know what the board of supervisors can have an effect on that and then talk about it. I don't know.
Okay.
So any information, and I have your information you sent, so anything like that you could send to help us understand who to talk to, if there's something we can do that we would want to do, I'll look at it.
Okay. I appreciate that.
I personally don't want to get into litigation with the IUB or litigation with anybody, but,
Why the IUB? Why do you say that specifically?
well, no, with anybody, I said,
Oh,
with
okay.
anybody, yeah.
Okay. Well,
We've got enough of it right now.
I kind of saw your agenda.
Yeah.
The one nice thing about having litigation with the IUB, a lot of people look at, oh, we're going to make zoning changes. Well, you're going to go directly head to head with those pipeline companies when you do that. If you sue the IUB, the pipeline companies can't counter sue you for suing the IUB. So there is a little bit of insulation there by doing it that way. To me, it's a very strong case with a very low amount of risk.
Have you talked to ISAC, the Iowa State Association of Counties?
No, I haven't.
That might be a
So is Tim,
good thing to touch base with.
is he about this, what you're saying? Because they had him at Isaac talk to us.
I talked to Tim Whipple, and his comment was that nobody has directed him from his customers to do this. And I honestly kind of think that Tim's plate is about as full as it can be.
Yeah.
So I looked for an actual eminent domain attorney, which took way longer than what I expected. But I don't know if you have what I sent, but that's the lawyer, the best that I could find. So. Anything else?
Well, something else to think about here.
Thank you very much. I
Thanks for
appreciate it.
coming out here and trying to show us, get us to look at some more, try to look
Yeah,
into
it's intriguing.
and pass on these we have opened up,
You bet.
trying to figure it out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Next thing we have on the agenda is a tax abatement, 213 West Sheridan Avenue, City of Shenandoah, resolution number 34. Here. There. So sometimes we have a picture of that, and a picture of that address this time. Let's just debate the taxes of this property, give Shenandoah to rehabilitate. So you guys have a motion on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the tax abatement.
I'll second it.
13 West Sheridan.
Okay. Any discussion on that? Doing that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Okay. Like, done signing?
We're back. Yeah.
Good. Now, next up, we have a tobacco permit for Rolling Cigars Incorporated for David Miller. We got it right here. He paid his fee. I looked it over and didn't see anything wrong with it. It looked fine.
I make a motion, we approve it.
Okay,
I'll second it.
motion and a second.
If
Yeah,
Would it, you have to have a permit to sell tobacco like Casey's or at a bar or?
well, he's got a mobile truck.
it's like a food truck, but
He
it's
makes the-
like a cigar truck. So. Yeah, but if you have a question, I
Yeah,
can just make
please,
sure.
use the mic.
I'm sorry, that's me to get up, but just, yeah.
It's close, I don't think.
Thank you very much for your explanation. I did not realize it was a mobile cigar selling establishment.
Yeah, it's kind of like a drink truck or, I mean. I don't-
So, but any establishment that sells tobacco has to have a license because you have to get the taxes and
Yep.
things. Great, thank you for your explanation.
It's being done in outside of city limits.
Really, yes.
Okay, we got a motion and a second on that. Any discussion on that permit? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That's done. We all sign up in one spot, very good. Okay, with the Veterans Affairs Commission vacancy. That we have, the vacancy we have for the Board of Veterans Affairs, is that right? And we had one applicant, Paul Kermit Anderson. I looked at his resume. Looked good to me.
Yeah,
So here, if we're good with that, we have a motion on.
I make a motion that we approve Paul Anderson for the veterans vacancy.
I'll second it.
Okay, we got a motion and a second, and Paul Anderson on the Veterans Affairs Board. Any discussion on that? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you for being willing to do that. Good. Next up, we have the Conservation Board vacancy. There's one vacancy and there's 3 applicants. Bring the papers here. So. See here. All right. applicants, main applicants here. We had Danielle Andrea Miller, Essex. Karen Lane from Shenandoah. Kathy Jordan from Shenandoah. Okay. Motion or discussions or anything on that?
All I would say is I had several people call, and text me, saying good things about Danielle. I don't know Danielle. But besides that, she gave me I returned in the application, which I did not know there was a deadline, sorry, so. But tried to get that out to everybody as soon as I received it. That would be my recommendation.
Are you making that a motion? Or is that a recommendation?
Oh. Yeah, I can make a motion. But Danielle Miller.
Okay, got a motion and a second. Discussion on that. My discussion would be we have really good people here. We all know that. Good. Kathy's been on the board for a lot of years. She know a lot. We got good people here. So
Yeah, and I don't. Yeah, they're all good.
they're all good. So
Not a bad one.
glad there's people willing to do this. Well, let's get any other discussion on that, looking at them. Yep. We're in discussion time. I guess we have discussion. Go ahead.
I just would know if there was anyone, if any of these candidates were present tonight, whether or not you, I mean, the fact that they are and they showed up,
That's true.
maybe
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
yeah, should give them a chance.
Yep. If you want to come up, we've got well written, if you want to, you can, or we've got a good application here. Happy to, anybody else here? I don't know. Other people. No? Are we done discussing here and vote? Maybe expand the board, put all three of them there.
I don't know if there's a limit.
Yeah, is there a limit?
Is there a limit?
No, I don't think we want to expand it.
Seems to be popular.
Oh. And motion on the floor, I guess we need to vote, I'm discussing. Is everybody read enough? You wouldn't need to read some more, the application,
I think they're all good, so.
they're all good.
It's a
And there's
hard
no,
decision.
you could just draw one out, it wouldn't matter. So,
We did a motion on the floor, so.
yeah. And motion on the floor, so I guess we need to, if we've read good enough, then there's, I don't think it's the wrong choice. So the motion, I'm going to vote, you want to go down the line? Just, everyone do. All in favor? We will
All in favor?
All in favor?
Okay, well, let's just, all in favor of, we have, Danielle Andrea Miller, the motion for her to be on the board. All those in favor, you might be saying aye.
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 Aye. Okay, Danielle, thank you. Thank you to everybody else. Let's do another position on here. We'll be happy to have you. Okay. Got that done. Okay. We got the conservation board done. Now, the next thing up on the agenda is retaining Ailey from Cooney to investigate HR complaint to the county attorney. On that, in speaking, we're gonna get to some of this in a minute, but just checking into this. It doesn't sound like anybody we've had anything, they're gonna play the investigator or in a way, judge in a way of this. If you've had any contact with them, we're gonna work with somebody, attorneys or firm, they would be conflicted because we need to have totally people that are non-conflicted, you've never worked with them, they're
Why would they be
Totally.
conflicted?
Because I've worked with several attorneys from Ayers and Cooney.
We've actually have them on retainer to handle things with HR.
My opinion is we're in conflict. That's my opinion.
I've got a couple of things. Melissa sent out regarding the HR complaint on the agenda. I would typically handle the investigation. But due to the fact it's originating from the auditor's office, I feel this would be a conflict of interest. We do have a contract with Ayers and Cooney to assist in these types of situations. And then Carl said, I think the complaint that was filed can't be addressed by in-house HR. And Ayers and Cooney should be retained to investigate the complaint as they are outside counsel that have assisted with HR matters. This needs, yeah, anyway, yes. So that it needs to be done so that the outside investigation could proceed. I see nothing the matter with Ayers and Cooney. They are a law firm that we've worked with, and I don't see that they have an interest in this. Many counties, cities, schools work with Ayers and Cooney, and they're in Iowa firm. And I don't see going out of Iowa to hire somebody extra when we already have them on retainer. You talk about saving money and you want to go out and hire an outside law firm in Omaha that will probably charge over $300 an hour. And I just don't see that that's feasible. I think it's wrong.
So this agenda item,
Whoever we get,
No,
they will only cover Ayers and Cooney.
they don't cover any of this.
cover any of this.
This is a county expense.
We have a
So it's-
contract with them.
So
for
if
HR.
somebody wouldn't have brought a complaint against us and went that route, it wouldn't have cost the people any money. And so now we have to do this because there's been frivolous claims made and our reputations are, I mean, we've been disgraced basically publicly. And so this is what happens when we go down this road. And we're not the ones causing this. We haven't been, but we're gonna sure as heck fight and not let our names be dragged through the mud and try to do the right thing.
That's right. I agree with you. This agenda item is who's going to investigate. We're going to hire somebody to help our board defend us in these accusations that are.
Just to
see the
clarify,
truth.
this is
So,
an investigation standpoint internally, so there is no.
well, we're going to have
outside
internal.
evaluation of this
We're gonna have
content.
internal guidance then. So on this agenda item that we're on is about retaining Ayers and Cooney. I believe they're conflicted, so we need to find somebody who's not. So on that, I'd
And then,
make a motion
Jacob,
to,
if I could
I'm
just
making
say
a motion,
something really
please,
quick,
please.
since we're in discussion.
I'm making a motion right now. I'm making a motion right now to not use Ayers and Cooney to do the investigation, but to seek a impartial group of attorneys to do the investigation that we've had no dealings with. So my motion is to not use Ayers and Cooney, but seek an impartial group of attorneys.
Yeah.
Non-conflicting,
And
add non-conflicting.
you've researched this group?
We'll do that in a minute.
Okay, all right. So
This is
this is just to go forward. Okay.
I don't,
Second.
okay, we've seconded that. Now we can discuss it. Go ahead.
So I would just say with that in the past, whenever we've had human resource issues, and if we've needed assistance with those, Allers and Cooney has been the one to help us. And we do have a contract with them, so when we do go into those situations, they do provide certain services at a lower rate. And we've had a really good working relationship with them on these issues. And they're familiar with our policy because they've helped draft the personnel policy and assisted with other matters.
Okay, on that, again, I've worked with several attorneys from Ayers and Cooney, several of them. I think this Ann was one of those mentioned. I've been dealt with her several times. I don't know that she should be the one investigating, and even if she's my friend or not, it was not good. It doesn't look good. And in talking with other attorneys, they said that's not, they probably will be immediately moved on. You have to have impartial people that have no connection looking at this, investigating. So that's why I feel this way. It shouldn't take that long to investigate it because I don't think there's much to investigate. So we need to, have a discussion on that, not using Ayers and Cooney, we'll have to find somebody else.
Why are we going out of state to do this?
That's not what this is. This is just who's gonna investigate.
No, but I'm just saying, why are we going out of state Why do you not want to,
I don't care if it's in the state or.
you
not.
don't like the women that are in Ayers and Cooney for one thing, the attorneys that are women.
I have never. said
That is a terrible thing to say.
No, it's not.
That is a horrible. thing to say.
It is true.
No, it is not.
It is true.
You, see, that's destroying people's
All right,
character.
let's have.
No, wait. Hey,
Let's have order.
hey, nobody speak up, all right? We can defend ourselves.
So let's have order, but again, we will not have
You just.
unfounded accusations like that flying around the room. So anyway, that's lack of discussion to hurl ideas like that. So here's what we got. We gotta go step by step through this. We'll talk through it. So one, I mean, we've got a motion and a second to not use Ayers and Cooney. Mayor, discussion on that. I mean,
So
maybe,
you're going against the county attorney's recommendation.
yes, I do not believe, I believe they're conflicted with, we've worked with them before. It doesn't, there's somebody totally impartial should do the investigation. That's my reason. So any other discussion on that? Hearing none. I guess all those in favor? Aye.
Nay.
All right, Todd and I are for it, Judy against. All right, we got that done. Next up, we have the engagement letter, and I had a supervisor from another county contact me and recommended this law firm. They're licensed in Iowa and Nebraska. They're in Omaha across the river.
Did I ask who it was?
Yeah, it's good right under Rose. Well,
No, who was the supervisor?
no,
Recommended.
no, that's
Why?
not your business.
Why is it not my business?
This is somebody I talked to.
It doesn't make any difference.
I had a recommendation.
What are you trying to
You
hide?
want to go get them? I mean, what do you?
No, I want to know who suggested it because I know other supervisors that have talked to you. So I'd like to know who it was that suggested this.
Well, I'm not gonna disclose it to you. So
What county was it?
doesn't matter. Here's we go. I talked to a lot of county supervisors.
Yeah, I know, and they don't want to return your phone calls anymore either.
That's so.
All right.
Mm,
Anyway, I'm just saying I had this recommendation.
No, not exactly.
And they seem down to earth and they handle HR issues and depending board issues. So I've got their engagement letter here, pass that out here in a second. The first item here on the agenda is this HR issue. We've been accused, Todd and I have been accused of things, like Judy just threw out in the room. We've been accused of things. She's saying we're mean to people. So anyway, we need defense. People have thrown our name in the mud falsely. It's just crazy. So we need defense. So we're gonna hire some defense and get some help going here. If the board chooses. So my view is we should get these guys and bring them on. I have 2 agenda items, 1 engagement letter that encompasses both of them. So,
How much?
I
is
guess
it per
I'll make
hour?
the motion. I'll make the motion here. Let me see what.
How much is it per hour?
Works and all they can is use the subject, all they can, when the head attorney's working with $300. So, anyway, you have all the information, you know, all the stuff that this guy, you can start having work, start having. Legal advice. Now, maybe get some. So, on the first item, we have the agency to help us in the state's RS, to come into the board. They're not acting as a mediator, don't hire them to be the investigator, they're hiring them to come in. And the agencies, even if it's in-house, not the words. They're gonna secret and find things and all involved.
This doesn't make sense.
We
This is an investigation that needs to be done,
We're gonna have
not a defense.
a part of it.
And if you're gonna hire somebody to defend you, maybe you should pay for it yourself.
No, it might be passed as a supervisor, we don't, you refuse these things. We say, when they thought they refused to, discriminate, never discriminate. Harassment. And. Work hospital. So pretty serious things. I think we need to. And we, some people, it's all across this nation. We have to have, we've tried to work with. To help us not receive any. So
So instead of hiring somebody to investigate this complaint, you are hiring somebody to defend yourselves.
We also.
Is that right?
We also have to hire somebody else to do this, but it's somebody different, it's gonna be a third party. Somebody that is going to be a third party.
But is that right?
Yes.
You're hiring somebody to defend you too.
Yes. So,
Do you guys agree if this would be litigation, then this, and then if there's litigation, they
that's fine, we go on litigation with that thing right now. Very major thing. That's what 2 years ago, sir. I mean, accuse anybody of that. Accuse me of something like that. Nice positions here. I want all the help I can. Nothing. You're great. Someone else. Help. So, and I don't want to do this, but we're having to do this, like Todd said, we have no choice.
So just so I can clarify, you don't want to wait to see if it goes to litigation or for insurance to potentially step in. You're going to spend additional resources at the onset of this to defend
I had.
potentially something.
I put an email out the other day to say what and where and when did these happen? I was told that's confidential. I need an attorney to talk to, because I don't even know when or where it happened. I've been accused of pretty major things, I don't know when and where it was. This is
Yeah, we weren't
political character assassination is what this is.
even able to see the complaint.
Yeah,
So-
so we need some help. We need to talk. I reached out to the county attorney and that's the answer he gave me.
The complaint normally goes to the HR person, who happens to be Melissa. And she has excused herself, recused, whatever you want to say, herself, because of the relationship anyway. So all you need is someone to investigate this complaint. Ehlers and Cooney can,
Sounds like they're still gonna do no matter what, right?
If somebody investigated, well, find somebody.
Is that correct?
so you're gonna hire another attorney to do that.
Haylers and Goody, instead of Haylers and Goody, somebody will get
So
hired.
you're gonna hire this attorney to defend you too, and then you're gonna hire another attorney to do the investigation.
That was gonna happen anyway, yeah. So. that
This
was
is
happening.
totally ludicrous.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
You have do the investigation, or was the motion just to not have Ehlers?
Sorry, I'll clarify that. We just voted to not have Haylers do the investigation, find somebody else. We don't know yet. This is a new item,
Okay, thank you.
The next item up is to engage gross wealth multiplier for the purpose of defense and advising the county board related to issues stemming from a complaint made by a county employee against the board of supervisors, and I sent this in. So that's what this is. We need help in this, giving us some advice. It might not be that long. It might only take an hour or two to advise us, but no one is doing that. So we need that, I believe. So any other discussion on that?
I think it's great if we can get some advice.
We need help.
Because we do need help.
Help that knows what they're talking about.
And I think everybody in this room ought to be thankful that we're gonna get some help.
We're gonna get some help. So, okay, our discussion on that, we're gonna vote. They're engaging. I have an engagement letter. We'll cover both these items. We're gonna do each item by themselves. So, all those in favor? Aye.
Nay.
All right. Yes, no. We've engaged them. We have a letter here. We sent the auditor. Explain it. Next item up here is to engage the same firm for the purpose of and consent of issues related to the question posed to the Attorney General. I consent. So here's what it is. I talked to Carl the other day. He agreed if I would make the questions up to solve our minutes issue. We're not even receiving minutes now. He said we all agreed last week, we need clarification, we define the lanes, where are our lanes, we know what we're saying. He would send that to Attorney General. So I don't want to pose a question that might stand for 40 or 50 years without legal help writing it. The questions are very simple, in a nutshell, I've said them out loud. Who owns the minutes, and does the supervisor own the minutes, and can they amend?
Oh.
If they can, which should be printed in the paper.
What was Friday?
To meet the deadline. And then 3, there is what can the board of supervisors require their clerk? That'll be the 3rd. So we need to go to the attorney, but that needs to be written in legal.
I
format.
forgot. Sorry.
because we can listen to answers.
If you already have the questions, why do you have to hire the attorney?
That's in farmer format. I want it written in legal format. They're simple, but lawyers write things in a way that we know the question is posed right. So therefore, we are answered, we can stand it. We know it's posed right. And I asked Carl, he said he would send it up. So I just want some help writing that. And we have issues going on here. We need some legal guidance. So I want to retain them to ask for legal help in general issues and helping write them. So that is what that is. Do I hear a motion? I'll make a motion. My motion to engage Gross, Wealth, North Claire for the purpose of advising and consent of issues related to questions posed to Attorney General and general issues.
So,
We have a motion, second, no discussion. We need help. And defining the lanes and building the program where the fences are, and make better neighbors.
So you do realize the county attorney has already weighed in on some of these issues, and he's already talked to the attorney general's office as well.
Yeah, we're gonna have legal help double check.
And so now we're gonna hire somebody else.
Yeah.
And how much is that gonna be an hour?
Same thing.
$350 an hour.
We're gonna do it.
And the county's gonna pay for that
Yep.
as well? correct?
How would they not pay for it? Doing it right now, it's kind of, we hire legal help all the time. We need help. This is dysfunctional. And
otherwise, we just can't keep going like
we can't go like this. We gotta, I'm probably one of the tighter people in here. We need to- This is, we gotta get help, people that will speak to us and give us some answers. And hopefully this goes to the Attorney General, we'll get an answer. And it clears us all up. Okay, so we have all those in favor? I guess we're going, all those in favor? Aye.
Nay.
Right, so we've engaged this law firm, we've got the engagement letter, give it to them so they can, they bill, goes to the bill. All right, next up, we have the boiler room. I would like to know, and I will bring my budget up this week. I talked to FEMA, they said that it looked like it was all going through. What lines did we pick it up? Here, which line did you play, did you found the budget line, did you think you had over for the boiler? Do you have the budget lines you took the money for the boiler out of?
Yeah, it was for the non-personnel and, local options disclosed.
Which line?
I don't have those in front of me.
Do you not know which line it came out of?
It's paid for.
I want to know which line it came out of, or I will rescind the motion. Which line did it come out?
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay.
I can say it again.
You don't know which part of the, how much came?
Did you email me and ask me for that specifically?
I put it on the agenda 2 days.
Did you ask her for it?
Put it on the agenda that we need to know. And last week you said condition. You tell us what. It's in the minutes.
So he asked for me to pay for it.
Yes.
He did not.
That's all. Bring
Wait.
it.
So we can, let's have order here. I guess we need to clarify that. I did talk to Siemens. I thought this one. He said if it goes into July, it doesn't matter, the price doesn't change. I'll make a motion. I'll make a motion to rescind the approval of the purchase of the boiler. I have no problem buying the boiler until we know exactly what line it comes from.
You already made the.
It doesn't
motion.
matter, I'm rescinding it. I make a motion to rescind the approval of purchase for the
You
boiler. I'm
signed-
worried about
You
this.
signed the contract.
We're rescinding.
You can't rescind it.
Yes, you can.
You rescinded it pending her finding the finances, which she did.
I'm.
No, you can't,
Hold on. Let's finish this. I will approve, I have no problem buying the boiler, that's why I signed it. Once we know about where the money's coming from. I know it's this department, but I'm kind of worried. Cause it's a big
yeah,
department.
I mean, we had an agreement. And we took it at good faith.
Good faith.
That, because we were like, okay, this is great compromise.
We're gonna do it.
We're
And
gonna,
now I'm worried.
you guys were gonna do it.
Yes, which line is it? There's 100, well, that's fine. Is it the 110,000? There's 110,000 HVAC. Is that the one? Page 9 of the HVAC.
It was paid out of 01,091,00638.99,641.
Which, what was the title of that? What page is it?
And then I believe it was 24,091,00417.12.803.
We slow down a little bit. What page is it?
It was taken out of non-departmental.
Find the one.
Then you can see as well how hard it is to get all those numbers in too. Because you just asking me on the spot for the number two is a little bit difficult. So maybe you can have a little bit of respect for me and my position to them. I tell you off the top of my head, I don't know that.
The motion that was passed last week was that you signed it and said, you said, as long as she could find the dollars, and she found the dollars, you signed it, it's over and
I
done,
will
it's
send it if
ordered.
it's not done. We were in good faith.
It's too late.
No, it's not. I'll make a motion to see this. So where are the lines? I still haven't found them. I'm not against
It
buying.
would be on page 3 of the local option sales tax expenses.
How much did you take out of it?
I don't have that in front of me. If you had specifics, you should have emailed those to me and asked me.
You said you're in the hunt for money. I thought this would be something we want to do. So where did it come out? So you had local office sales tax, page 3. Where else?
Then it came out of non-departmental money.
I know what page, what one. Okay, well,
That depends.
it's not the
Everybody's
same.
vote is a different page sometimes.
Is it out of that 110,000 that he there?
Yes. Yeah.
So you took out of the 110,000 and then local option, was there any other line, any other non-department line you took out of? The local option, do you remember the 110,000?
They were both, as promised, paid out of the local option department and the non-departmental.
Well, there's ARPA and things in this new program too. That's why I'm sure we didn't get that.
I did not touch the ARPA, as I said.
That's why I'm trying to just double check.
When I gave you my word last week, I would not do that. I did not do that.
There's also a lot of other lines here, but I'm trying to double, I would like to know this before we commit to this. So it's,
And the contract's already been signed and signed, so. I mean, I would hate to have to go back with a company we've worked years with.
I talked to them today about this. I said that we're gonna make sure, we're gonna do it. Nobody said we have to do this thing. I said, make sure that everything is done right. Well, out of the 110,000, do you have any idea how much you put for that? 110,000. Out of the 110,000, do you have any memory of? How much you put for that? But it was split. Into. I just want
I
to make sure.
could look at our claims, but with our system right now, our system backs up between 6 to 7 on Thursday nights, so I can't access that. He says it's still backing up.
I made a motion, they either gotta withdraw the motion, do something, but they're gonna do correct. Made the motion to rescind. We have information here on this. I wish we had the total detail, but it came out of the heat and air line. You said if that's 6389964 general basic fund, heat and cooling, $102,000. I never heard that number. We were reading it. So
This is the one we discussed next week. Part of it.
the general basic fund for the courthouse, building courthouse, 35,000 in there. What you mean? For the jets, right?
No, that 110,000 line was the line.
Yeah, we discussed that last, that was the main one, stuff, along with the liberal option. Well, yeah, as long as that comes used, I'm fine. Talk about it. Just make sure, I just wanted to hear it and see it speak. So I guess. We don't have a second. Yet. I'm gonna withdraw that motion. And by memory, we'll get the details, Todd asked me to take the details exactly what it is. If there's an issue, if it's not done according to what we said, then I would be going to next time, as long as it's done right. So, I will send the motion, and we are asking for the details. And if they're not, if it's not correct, we'll see this. Okay, and then that. Comments? Who's right in there? I don't know, that's so sorry.
Yes, I'm not free.
Could you speak up?
I'm sorry, say the name and speak. Yeah, Joe Jefferson, and speak up, so, I'm not a frequent of these meetings, but I try to keep in touch as best I can. I guess as I look at how I run, I've got several accounts that I use for various things, depending on where they land, whether it's for the, what we call the funny phone warehouse, or whether it's, simple home related, or it's savings or basic account stuff. I guess I don't understand why it's crazy to want to know where we're getting dollars from as we all run this, our own home in this room, we all want to know where dollars come from, pension or whatever situation, don't we? Why is it crazy that we're asking for that? And it's, I don't understand that.
It's not easy, no.
Well, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of chastisement here on Todd and Jacob's behalf, and I don't understand why it's absurd that they're asking for the details. You would do it in your own, the same as I would.
Well, I think the thing was, is we discussed using 2 specific departments, and I stayed within those parameters. I just, as you can tell, the accounts alone, there's about 20 numbers.
I can imagine on that level, I'm sure it's terrible.
And so it's just the fact I didn't have those right off the top of my head.
Sure.
So, and it's a little bit frustrating when we've already signed and worked with the company for years, and just because we don't have that right in front of us, and we can't access it currently because our backup's running right now.
Sure.
That we would just take the boulders away because of that. So
the response that I see there is probably more or less, hey guys, let's work together to figure this out as opposed to just lashing and smiling at each other. I look around the room here and there's smiles being traded from this direction this way, clear over to our deputy that's sitting over here in the corner. Why on earth are we acting like children over this? We should be learning this by example of these young people, how to hold a conversation. This is horrible.
I'm a happy person.
This is, I think you know what I'm getting at. I don't disagree, I'm sure you will. That doesn't mean we can't have an adult in the meeting.
Sorry, your approved speaker was first. And P. Taylor, Page and Taylor County for my firms. Let's see, the main reason that those of us who come to some of the meetings, and I haven't been to as many people, is because it gets a little old when we hear people being torn down over and over and over again. And then when she comes and she's done exactly what they asked her to do, he looks for any reason to stop the motion that we were excited finally went through. Honestly, last week, we saw for the first time in a long time, something get done. And the very first part of this meeting went very, very well. The issue was that there was no email. There is no communication between these two. And I think that that's what is aggravating. She obviously showed that it's very hard to get all of those numbers memorized. She played by the rules and the parameters that were given to her. And the issue is that it still was any way you possibly could to take that away. And that's silly. That's why it was. If you're wondering what it is, that's what it is.
On the boiler issue, I'm not against my boiler. Several weeks ago, I said, hey, there's got to be money in the budget for the boiler outside the government. And then I remembered and found the 110,000, and I don't know why I didn't have to talk about it in the last 6 months. So nobody's against buying the boilers. I don't know if it has to be done right away, but that's fine. If it needs to be done right now, because we got money set aside, we voted for it. I just want to double check. Like we all have to answer things. I got to answer what I did, and I just want to make sure it came out of the proper lines, because we did it kind of backwards. We should have waited to this week, and she presented the lines and we voted. It would have been the same outcome. Yes, we've all voted this. I'm just trying to double check things. Okay? I was told for weeks there was no money outside ARPA for rooms.
We could wait until this week because all of our claims went on. Like we pay all our bills starting in April. So like claims have been finished already. They're going in the mail, yes, but like that food crisis has already been finished.
Right.
So that was why we last week moved forward.
And the reason that we
That's
didn't
fine.
consider anything else was because there was ARPA money designated for the boilers, which you have taken
Again,
out.
on the ARPA money doesn't, let's talk about it. I did not decide that the supervisors get to make the choice for this, but I did not make that move. That's, so a committee of people who may be really good people to give advice on, they're not the ones voting on it. We have to vote on it. That's our, we have our lane we gotta stay in. That, I didn't pick for us on that duty, but we do. So some people who might have a lot of good information, they're not the ones that have to pass the ballot. We listen to them, we decide, it's for this. A group, I was never allowed to go to those meetings. I didn't attend any of them. It was separated, and they thought.
That's because it was a committee.
They came up, that's fine, they came up with ideas, but the board still ultimately decided to do it. It was just a brainstorming committee. Again, there's our lane, so we have, there's a board sitting here, we're gonna look at the money, the best we can, because we have information to say, we're living room. So anyway, so on that, so nobody wasn't gonna buy the boiler, but I wanna double check that it did come out where we came, we're just, it's like auditing, we're just double checking things. I wanna double check what we talked about, make sure it's good. So that's where we are. So if it came out of that 110,000 and the 1% tax, I'm good. We're trying to check that tonight, and we get the next week. So we'll look at that next week. Check it out, we'll look. We're now to next up on the agenda. Last week, and I do understand this, which was very frustrating for people who trying to take the minutes. To sit behind us would be terrible. I don't know how you would do it, you can't see your faces very well. Let's talk about, is there any better way? I talked to Corey a few months ago, years ago, I thought about this, to flip this room around. I've had ideas even, when people come in, they have to come in and out behind us, and they have to get up and walk in front. To flip this whole room around. And put, when people sit here, it's just an idea, sit here, move everything there. If that would work, another idea is to put up, and in a courtroom situation, you would have a clerk and I don't know if it matters of course, since it's like, you have to do those speakers, but put them down where they can see the speaker and see the board. They can look at both things. Those are ideas. We need to do something to try to help this, because everybody says it's impossible. Last week was brought up, it's hard to see us in minutes. I understand the need.
I don't think when we initially, when the desks were purchased, I don't think there's enough space up here for all three of you to fit up here.
I measured and I think they'll fit. I took a tape measure a while back, but that'd be something to look at. If they won't fit, we just Just,
I mean,
I was just gonna say, I think initially.
Do you guys think that would be a good idea? I mean, as far as just flipping them.
so I talked to Corey, we were looking at the plugins, if we flipped it, the chairs would be here. And we would be there, everybody was, everybody's against the.
It's not gonna help the acoustics in this room.
We looked one time at the sound bar, there was things that, so we got quotes on that.
It'd just be nice to see who's coming in.
Yeah. We also could do away with the riser, and we could sit back there and they could sit to the side. If we can't get on the riser, then at least we're looking at them, looking at the speaker, everybody's looking at each other. Right now, we have this back to people, and our back to the door too, nobody sits in the room like that, if it's the only way to work, I understand. It's just ideas, at home sometimes they do the couch, and it's like, oh, why do we think of that, that actually worked out. I would be willing to come in and help, Royce, and just not move all the wires, just take a couple of things and or whoever works.
Why don't we just try speaking into the microphones?
I don't like that. Well, that would help them. You do that.
Yes, it does.
That's a good.
Because yours is covered up,
I'm trying.
and people are saying they can't hear you. The rest of them, they can hear me.
Have you guys thought about just going to the regular mics?
We could try it, and it's very easy to discuss, and all of us could, just imagine one of us. But I would like to try something. I don't know, measure, take measure. Who is the person that set this up originally? I mean, you don't have to move wires right away, just try messing with some furniture. Is it the maintenance guy who does this? I'll help.
All of us.
Does everybody work together?
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it. And we don't have to move everything. I would like to try, if you guys want to.
But if you're gonna have to move computers and everything else, and the wiring's all set.
Yeah. And we don't have to move that all right away. We try the simple things first, see if that doesn't. Then if it does work, we move on.
This doesn't have to be a political thing just because Jacob said. Like, we don't have to be against it just because, no, that is the way it goes. That is 100% the way it goes with you too. If Jacob says it, or Todd says it, you're against it. One of you said last week, part of the reason of not doing minutes at the end is because you specifically said that couldn't see their face, couldn't see their tongue. So can't hear sometimes. Okay, so seeing their face would help with that. I've been watching him the whole time as he's been trying to listen. Looking at mouths is a very legitimate thing. You don't have to just bang, shoot everything down. Just because it's somebody who you're fighting with. I didn't say it.
I'm looking at the wiring. I'm
Yeah.
looking at our individual computers. I'm looking at the stuff back there.
We'd have to think about it and see if it's.
I think so.
It's just an idea.
I know when I could. Well, I first know, we talked to them.
You kind of visited.
And we just, like, yeah, we can. You know, because I think.
Lane, they want to leave, right?
Sneak out, go to the bathroom.
It is, if it's all gonna work, I understand, but it's not rocket chasing. So it's just an idea. And I would not want to take these space. I fully understand that.
Just as Sherry Hunter, Delmar Blanchard, Iowa, just as a music teacher, there's two things that I do a lot. Set up sound wires constantly. It's not that hard to move wires around. As music teachers, we do it all the time. Also, everybody slow down, take turns, talk clearly and talk slowly. It helps so much if you just slow down. And Jacob, I love you, but you just gotta slow down, because sometimes it is hard when we're talking to our brother and we go away from the microphone. So it does help. And I wonder about those handheld mics. If you just would remember to hold it up to your mouth.
We had ones that came up here and they were really good, but unless you lean into them.
It's so hard because some are directional mics. So if it's not hearing me. And so I tell my kids all the time, you got to kiss the mic, and that's kind of gross, especially when we all share this one. But we have to do that. It is so hard to listen on Zoom, and I want to know the facts. I want to know what's real, and I don't want the assumptions. And so if we could all just slow down and just enunciate, that really helps. And then just be mindful that it will only pick you up if you're right in front of it. So that's a music teacher's 2 cents.
Thank you.
So on this agenda item, I mean, We can't all do this together because we can't meet here unless we just make an agenda, unless we make an agenda item to. Or we make an agenda just to come in and work on the room. I mean, we can do that, I guess, but we're not doing business, we're just adjusting things. I don't know how to. I would like to at least try, without moving wires, just do some experimenting. And I can do that in a team, so. I mean, what's your guys' opinion on that?
I would be fine with just freeing you up if you wanted to, maybe get Troy.
You can help me for a little bit
See.
and see that
I
we
don't
need
have a
to
problem.
ask if it'll even work wires. If it won't work with the wires, then that's fine, we're trying.
And our office would like to be involved too, because we would
That
like
would
to
be,
decide where we sit, so,
Yeah.
because we had issues.
Yeah.
with it in the past, so.
my idea is sitting here is just try to picture a courtroom and the person having to try to listen. You'll be able to see the person speaking and see the person talking to you. So,
Maybe you just come up with a sketch or something, then run it by everybody and get everybody's input. First, that we need.
For those that, so that they work a lot with microphones, are there mics that are more consistent with the way they move around? Because they're all animated talkers, and it would be really nice if they could still be who they are and use microphones that would move with them. And is there something that would work best, I guess, for that? Like, do these stands work better than the clips?
They have been.
Well, it's just about speaking into them. You get the directional or the unidirectional, you get all the background noise. So that's actually, it sounds like a better idea, but when you all have background noise, then you're hearing papers and all of that. So these are the right kind of mics. It's just training, you know, it's like all of my students and I have to tell them, and then it comes to the concert and they're singing and the parents are like, why couldn't I hear their solo? And I'm like, you have to kiss the microphone. And so it's just something, you know, that would really help. It makes a big difference.
we had this.
If you're holding a mic with normal people, if you're holding a mic, you'll hold it up to your face. But if I turn to talk to you, see how that makes a big difference. And so as we're turning to talk to people, if it was on a stand, you would have to pick the whole stand up. So they do have the ones you wear. You know, even for voice teachers and stuff, like in the music classroom, you can buy those, and I don't know.
Like the,
Yeah, all sorts of stuff, but that is just directional mics. You have to speak directly into it.
we want to make it easier for everybody. It is difficult to remember and think all the time for everybody, so. Well, I'm open to that, so what do you want to do? You want, maybe I'll come up here with the tape measure for fun, and just to look around and then draw something up and bring it to everybody and look at it next time.
Yeah, I mean, as long as you work with hours and
Yes.
maintenance guy and just have a group of, do some brainstorming and figure it out.
Yeah.
Sketch.
See what's feasible, or not. Just trying to make it easier. If we could do something simple like moving furniture and make it easier, that'd be great. Okay, that's all that is. I just wanted to think we could do that. Okay. Next up is the fourth week district.
I had a design meeting. It dissolved. Southwest Mental Health Center, so that is no more, because it's gonna go into the portion only. So that's been cleared.
Issue we went yesterday, this been sort of, it's going to an advisory board now, it's not, it's different. I think we have to meet another week before they change over. But that was yesterday, so they're gonna discuss how often the advisory can work together. That's all up in the air. And it's fourth edition, which is a piece of us. I don't know, if it's Greg, around. I've seen, I mentioned today, maybe give her a report. I don't know if Tim did anything, is the name, and I just trying to be extra cautious about the open meetings, so really do a report for me.
don't really, they didn't really have, make any decisions. It's just that they have chosen the spot where they want it to be. And I think Lyle will be coming to the board next week.
So you said you weren't going? You did.
Yeah,
Because I talked to. No, the agenda was posted downstairs. The agenda was also sent out to everyone in plenty of time. So the news media knew about it, so it fulfilled the open meetings law.
it's using extreme caution and I understand maybe it did. I get that, but extreme caution is fine in this issue.
But Gary-
But I was told, I wouldn't have came if you'd never just come and told me you weren't coming. We drove to town and then here, I just wanted to use extra caution. But 11:30 said you weren't coming.
But Gary McLarnon was here, the mayor of Shenandoah, Roger was here, and AJ. And all of them verified that it was an open, that it fulfilled the open meetings requirement.
If we have
So I
committees,
stayed, and then Jacob didn't agree with us, so he left.
we have committees we're on, and I don't mind doing I told Greg, wow, but you just done a supervisor meeting, should have tonight or whatever, just with all this. He just thought, that's fine with me, but if we're on committees, whether we go out here, we need to know what's going on, show up, we might as well just do it at a supervisor meeting. If we're gonna, if there's no reason to have a committee meeting, then just do it in the supervisor. Could be a thing to do in the future.
Or you can post it just like the normal, and you can attend.
I guess, so to piggyback off of that. So the board of health meeting last week.
Yes,
So
I was there as an observer.
and I guess to me, that it's just because it's that's just what it looks like. Okay. And that's just how I feel about it. And I know you didn't say anything,
And I got up,
you couldn't see it.
I got
I
up,
didn't even know you were there. Until you told me.
Yeah.
So.
and then you said, what are you doing here? Yeah.
It's like, it's like what I've been thinking about, and I appreciate about it.
And we can be there as an observer. Just don't say anything.
And so it's, yeah, I would like to know that you trust us enough.
I trust you. I'm just very interested in public health, and I've dealt with it for years and years and years, and that's why I was interested in what they were doing with, with trying to decide, and the interesting part was that I don't know that knew that it was on, and I don't know whether you heard it or not. But when it was on before the meeting started, Dallas said to Richard, "You didn't ask me if I wanted to be the interim. You didn't ask." Yes, and so I thought that was very interesting because he had passed on that she didn't want to be, but she said, she would have been more. So, and as it turned out, she is helping. So anyway, that was it. But no, I wasn't looking over your shoulder. I just have always had an interest in it. And I did go to Oakland on Monday to the Mental Health Advisory Council for the region. And it too is changing the makeup of the board. And I think there are 5 supervisors that could be on. And I stepped out because Page County has 2 other representatives there, Bernie Wagner and one other, that go to that meeting. And so I felt like we were well represented and could, they would be there for Page County, but it's a very, it's a great advisory board. It's great and to be with the others, but there are like 9 supervisors on it currently, but starting July 1, they had to redo it. So they did that, and they went through the 28E and everything else, and so, yeah. So.
What is that called?
It's the Mental Health Advisory Board. Regional, it's the regional.
We do have, tomorrow there is an emergency board of health meeting. To go over the 28E. And shipping of other kind of before, just everybody looks over it before.
It looks like it's this.
I read that, and it does, it's expensive. And it looks like they're, I don't understand, but it looks like we have no.
Well, looks like maybe it should be cheaper than
My
that.
understanding is the Board of Health has their budget already for, they can do that money.
Right, but it just seems like a lot of money for a person who's already in place.
We'll take a negotiate. I didn't know that dollar amount, I glanced at that, but then that includes sharing benefits, is that correct? $40,000 is roughly included the benefits, and it's all one hourly rate is considered, that's the. If I read
But it's also plus mileage. I think.
that mileage is, and there's 10 hours a week, which seems. Is that right? Am I thinking of that right? No, this is more.
It's still a little over 40,000 for 10 hours a week if you do it for the year.
What were we, I guess that's another one spot, but I wonder what it was per hour.
It's either 70, 20 or something.
Yeah.
I think.
So I wonder what it cost us, and this is just a wonder, to have what we have. You know what I'm saying? We're going to share, what did it cost Richard here per hour on a 40 hour? I don't know. I know it was his salary was 50s, 60,000, 60,000, 70. So we're at 40. So this is all, we need to have, this is the health board's decision. You understand that? We're just trying to think about
So it's basically for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
6 months
So
deal.
you can try it and then you can
Reevaluate.
reevaluate.
It is overall cheaper if you get the job done. It's less, well, yeah, I would do it. So we're gonna look at.
Are they still keeping the administrator? Is Tina still going to do the administrator stuff for them?
Yes, well, Candace is going to help them.
Yeah.
It's their chief and
But my,
And, sorry, and, yeah, the, then Candace has asked, we thought about taking Candace out of that role of tobacco, but she's gonna stay. She will stay there, and so, but she feels like she can work in both. Just kind of keep the office. All the things that is taken care of. And, so, yeah, but, I mean, we're gonna talk it over tomorrow, so. Like I said, they just kind of wanted I think the meeting to get the 2080 out to everybody and have a discussion about what that's.
so budget time will be when it's come. And 6 months, we can look at it and see if it's.
Right.
Okay.
And I think we still have a position that people can apply for. Listed in.
She has me.
Oh, all right, so I knew Richard at one time had said. We keep that open just in case we gotta take this. And again, I think it's gonna be a short-term deal and it's gonna go, eventually it's gonna be all regional. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they did mention that the other day too.
Hello, speaking into the direction of microphone.
Good
And
job.
thank you. Jacob mentioned changes to the 4th Judiciary, and Judy, you mentioned changes to the Southwest Iowa Mental Health.
It's the mental health advisory, the regional.
And these changes are July 1st. I was wondering, are these changes precipitated by the reshuffle of the Iowa state government from 32 departments into 16?
Probably, because it's come from the state that these have to be done, and only a certain percentage of supervisors can be on the board, and then private citizens have to also be on this particular board. So, yeah, it's, and because it's Health and Human Services now, I think is what it's called. So, yes, and public health is a part of that, and they did talk about that being changed also, so, yeah. I think they want to take the supervisors out of almost everything. And it really, I guess it makes sense because we don't levy for mental health anymore. The state has taken that over. And other things too, we don't pay post judicial. So, yeah. And I don't know what it'll be when they do public health.
Thank you.
That is what I think it's going. What they talk about. So. Good on that.
The other thing is, same thing.
Oh, visiting with the board.
Okay. Central services.
Yeah.
Talking to them, so. And then one more thing, I got a call this evening before the meeting, inviting me to a meeting with the Shelter Fire Chief and, Jill with EMA and the CO2 pipeline people to go over, just, they want to talk about safety and things about that. Talk through any concerns and things that we're going to have. So that's it, should go. So it's a little bit.
Well, next step, we have minutes. When I took last week, we didn't do it, and I handed that out, you still have that? Minutes from last week, I did that, you got it there. I just left it the same thing last week, and then we would approve, I mean, my motion would approve with my corrections that I put in. Basically taking public comment. And changing the words up that they went over last week. And then section was different. Like on my motion, I changed the words to what I actually, the motion said. From what it was 6th of January 15th, June 15th.
June 15th.
You forgot they're going to. Papers is exact things that I sent to do last week. Here it is. We've been doing that as well. Thank you, we need to just go ahead and handle that. Should have. Unless we have something else, I'm good with the way it is. We will correcting it to say to match the corrections I've put in it, including changing my motion to match what I actually said. If you're going to fix the motion, you also need to split second that motion, let's put it. Fix it.
I'd make a motion that we approve the minutes for June 15th.
We all second it. Discussion about that. Okay, all those in favor? Aye, opposed? Okay, now, we can hand those in, so we approve them. So. If you have a copy back there, please come. Now, I have no question on the minutes from last week, where the minutes from last week? Not the 27 minutes, I've not seen them.
Do we have email to us?
I looked on the website at 4:30 and
They weren't there.
whether they're not. So. The motion, we need to get the minutes. We can't even read the minutes, but there's a motion last week, totally incorrect. We need to see the minutes. We should have the minutes before the newspaper had the minutes, the draft minutes.
Yeah.
What do you think about having a meeting on a Zoom meeting on a Monday morning, Tuesday? Just to do the minutes. Okay, I left at 4:30, they weren't there. Well, print them off. I got to print them. Let's print them off. With the 7 days.
We've already been sent to the website and paper.
That's fine, we're gonna amend them. No, let's see.
I do want to be clear, you can. Like, the minutes have already been sent to the paper and the website.
The draft minutes have never been approved. Like, they've never been unofficial, unapproved minutes. We have never not seen, they were not emailed to us, or put on the website sometime this evening. Let everyone in the media, everyone know, we did not get the minutes sent to us. We have not seen the draft minutes. Any errors or problems, we have had no, we've not seen these minutes.
Unofficial at that time.
They're unofficial. We're gonna make them official here in a minute.
And I did also to the.
My signature should not be on those minutes.
I reached out to Kristen too, and it kind of just, they've said it's really kind of. There's not really clear guidance.
So can we, so if there's not clear guidance, can we straight that after that? So.
Should be Melissa Wellhouse's minutes, or Oliver Wellhouse's minutes solely not approved, by the board, not seen by the.
I would just agree with that, because a lot of the times my staff sometimes writes those
Okay.
minutes. So-
Auditor's office, not seen or approved, or
But I think we're missing the whole context of the minutes, Jacob, which I've tried to discuss, but the auditor is responsible for taking the minutes and for clerking the meeting, and if the legislator at the time when they set this up wanted the board chair to write the minutes, they would have put that in the code, and they did not.
why does it say unofficial? Why does it say official? Why do you put unofficial on the minutes?
Well, that's at this time how we've chosen to handle things.
Why does it say, what would make the minutes official minutes?
Well, in the past, usually the board has read those and then taken an approval,
Oh, why did that stop?
because you have to rewrite the minutes in entirety.
Rewrite the minutes, so did the board ever correct the minutes? I was here lots of times, we corrected the minutes in the last couple of years, lots of times.
We've changed some things.
We changed.
Whole minutes.
For me, we changed general, lots of things, big, long things that were not correct, took out comments, added comments, we did a lot of that, several times. And John told me it happened frequently, there would be things that needed to change also. It happens, all boards on it.
And I think
The
that
ones
was
that
the
write-
agreement between the auditor and the board at that time, that we would work together and have discussions.
I guess what your opinion is.
So I think it's to be what's going on allowed and what the code sections allowed, so after hearing his guidance and the Attorney General's guidance, I feel that how we are doing this is a very accurate.
So the board gets to vote on the minutes, that's what makes them official.
So as the AG's opinion stated, the auditor controls the text and the format of the minutes as we have discussed.
Of what's
And then the
required.
Board of Supervisors, if there's any factual errors or anything regarding that, then those can be changed, because I've spoken with the county attorney and we have had detailed conversations about it. I mean, I would encourage all three of you to reach out to him. I mean, he's been very helpful through this whole situation. I know he's reached out to the attorney general's office and spoken to them several times. So I'm sure he would be more than happy to share that. I think he also put it in the memo, which I shared with you guys last week. So I think at this point, like, I'm just trying to do my job and statutorily what my job requires me to do. And I know Jacob would disagree with that,
Totally.
but at this point in time, I would kindly ask you to respect my position and what the code requires for myself and what the code requires for the board of supervisors.
Well, the head of the IPIB said the minutes of the board is good, there are minutes. We need to get
I
higher.
guess when I agree,
This is-
it says texting format, I think it's how it's laid out in the form. And what says texting.
In the same document.
Formatting you use, not discussion.
And I have the Zoom recording, and I would encourage you to as well, because their opinion is different on that. I believe he shared that he's talked to the AGs about them, the AG's office as well. So I would encourage both of you to reach out to him and have that discussion too.
It's really frustrating that you can't control. So it's.
I think it's frustrating.
And it's not, I'm not trying to say control, but, we conduct a meeting and we try to make sure everything's factual. We want to make sure that the right stuff is in the things that matter. But yet we can't change things that we're supposed to be able to change.
Yes, it is.
I mean, that's how we can't change things, and we want to correct the minutes. We want to make sure that all words are correct. When we say, when we're talking, we want to make sure that that's right. When we find discrepancies, which we've had, and it's not, it's just,
And we did correct the minutes, the factual
We have-
correction from, I think, the 15.
but we have like.
We took out all of that from after Kristen left the meeting, because after I consulted with the county attorney, he said that nothing should have been recorded in the minutes after that. So I did reach out to him as well to get guidance on that. So that had all been changed as well.
So we were never talked to about that either.
But did it already get in the paper though after that? I mean,
It
before
never
that,
went to the
it probably.
paper. What they had went as unofficial, which after talking to Isaac and Chris, Isaac as well, that's what they recommended initially, was that those minutes do go at that time. And if there's changes after that, those are recorded then.
But we can't have the minutes before the 7 days, because if we amend them, then you would have to put those in the paper, and that's why all of a sudden, we don't see minutes for 7 days.
No,
That's
not
been my opinion.
necessarily. That's just currently, I mean, with our process and how things work. We've just sent minutes to make sure we're hitting that deadline. And I think though you're missing a key point there that, I mean, the minutes can be changed for factual changes. Just because you don't like 5 things we put in there, that's not something that necessarily.
Can I say something?
But we would want, hang on just a second, but we would want things to be factual, not what you put in there, right? So if.
Are you
like,
saying what I'm writing in the minutes is not factual?
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah, often.
because last week, or I don't know if it was last week or 2 weeks ago, we had the motion and it said. It totally was different than what Jacob had said, and I've had things that have not been factual.
Well,
And I
There's lots of examples of that. And I'm not saying that, I'm saying that when people are discussing things get misconstrued or picked up on. I'm not gonna say you're out to do it maliciously. I think there's accidents that happen, mistakes happen. You guys don't all hear this, the whole subject, but those are the things that we want to get corrected. And when we correct them, then they don't get corrected on the webpage.
and
I mean,
never,
we had 4 weeks of meetings that we made changes to, and we voted on it 2-1. And those meeting minutes got lost. We don't know where they went. They didn't get approved, or I mean, we approved them, but they didn't get published on the website.
They should
so-
be
which is frustrating for our sake.
And we, one, have never gotten those minutes, which I've told you.
We have handed those in, it's on film. We give the copies to the clerk. It's on film and
And like I said,
We
as
can
well
look at
too, those corrections are based on factual changes,
But
so.
And I would like, just to make sure when we ask for corrections, or we're asking for corrections, it's nothing personal.
Oh, I don't take it personally.
on you or Kristen or anybody that's taking notes, because I know it's a terrible, tough job to take
But
notes.
I also don't think
But-
you guys understand the code either and how the code reads.
yeah,
And that these,
Well, and then hopefully these will,
like,
we can
I
get
would,
some
have you
clarification.
talked to Carl about the minutes
Yes,
recently?
not recently.
I have, it says what the duties of clerk, the minutes of the board shall include a record of all actions taken, a complete text of motions, resolutions, amendments, and ordinance adopted by the board. It's not your favorite public comment that supports the issue you like or don't like. That's not what it says. I don't see that in there. And Robert's rules, if you look at basic, Google Robert's rules for minutes, and it says discussion. Should be very cautious because it's hard to be objective with discussion and public comment. Most of the time should be left out. We talked about this at length in January, and that keeps your minutes for no matter who in this room writes the minutes, they look the same. It isn't, oh, you can see they want a boiler, they pitched that pretty hard, you can see what they want and what they don't want in the minutes. You can see who they like and they don't like. And if the clerk has the right to write the minutes in a way to tear down somebody, then it's basically do it my way or I'm gonna tear you down. And that's what I feel is
And that
going
is
on.
not what's happening.
And that's why, well, I 100% believe that, and that's what's happening, and I can read the minutes, read the paper, it's unbelievable. No minutes I've seen anywhere look like this. The comments and the things that are put in the minutes that are not pertinent to the meeting, I've never seen meeting minutes like this in my life, ever. So I'm against it, and we need to go to
I
the
would
attorney general.
encourage you to read all 99 counties minutes because they vary across the state.
Yeah, the ones I have read do not include non-pertinent statements and things that have nothing to do with the business of the county in the minutes.
And I appreciate your reference to Robert's Rules of Order and stuff like that, but when I go to do my work, I look at the Code of Iowa. So
Yeah, and
that's what I'm basing my.
And
work on.
yes, and I am all about putting what's required by the Code of Iowa in our minutes. I am 100% good with that. And that's what I believe you're in charge of, the text format is what's required, the motion wording, the resolutions, and the amendments, and the ordinances. We need to go to the attorney general, that's why we hired an attorney.
And
So-
just one more thing, just if we can just quit saying that we're trying to hide stuff from the public, because that's another thing that's really not true.
I'm not sure why you want
And that has been said on KMA, on KCSI, on numerous websites. It's just, we have tried to be open, more open than anybody
Anyone ever.
ever. And I definitely am not trying to hide anything
No.
with this minute thing. That's not what it's about. It's not about keeping stuff for the public. If we wanted to do that, we'd shut down YouTube.
Yeah, we would have YouTube, which was shut down by the board for a while, and
Right.
we recorded it at home.
It does us no good when we're downgrading each other in public
Yes.
and we've got to be able to work on this and get along. But when you're falsifying things that make us look like we don't
And I'm not
care about,
falsifying things. So once again, I'm thinking I'm not doing.
insinuate, okay?
And
so
I would say from
insinuate.
my 12 years of being auditor, when you
I-
compare how minutes have been done prior to this January, there is information that's not being put in, which I would say you're hiding that information from the public then, because for the last 11 years, I've put that information in the minutes. So you have one opinion regarding that, and I have a
Right.
totally different opinion because of my background and what I've done in the past.
Well, so is Montgomery County hiding information? There are crooks up there in their minutes, I guess, what you're saying, because they don't put all
I'm not
this.
saying anybody else is doing it,
Well,
I'm saying based
it
on.
doesn't matter.
my background,
It's
how
just
we've
a-
done things, how
Does
my
it become
prior
this kind of
auditor,
personal choice?
Yeah.
how my prior auditor had handled things, and I was taught.
Can I say something?
Hold on.
Yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, I just, there's a lot of different opinions, you guys, controversials and all these things. You guys have been voted to work as a team for the county, and so like you just said, Joe just said, to show an example, and this may be a silly question, but with the minutes, have you guys sat down together and discussed it together and hey, no, I didn't say that, you're all here at the same time, so hey, no, that, is that something to consider though?
We don't have. That's, I don't know, it's my
I've
suggestion.
asked several times for Jacob to come in and meet with me. He has not, so.
All the boards I'm on, the minutes discussed together, so you can all remember and do your best to fix it. It's not alone. I don't want to fix them alone right now. I want everybody to look at them and see if they agree. Remember. you know,
Aren't you rewriting them initially? So aren't you fixing them alone?
I pass them out, and say, is there anything else you see, and go over it. And if you like what I said, don't do it. I'm taking my pen and striking the comments out, like Robert's rule says to do, what I'm doing, to try to clean it up, whether it be whatever it is. Unless you write every comment, you have half a story.
It's just not fair.
So it's half the comments.
Let's just, hey, if we're gonna talk with.
One at a time.
Okay.
Sorry,
There's a comment on here that says, I've read the minutes and watched the videos and they match. This video has been so bad that if we were to rely on the video for the minutes of the meeting, it would be a joke.
And nobody's saying that we're gonna rely on the video.
Who is that? The comment?
It's Jocelyn, whoever Jocelyn is.
So. This printer is not working. I need the second page of the minutes done. I'm trying to get this done. I printed one page for some reason, we'll print the second page. So somebody, Todd, can you try to print it, or somebody have a printer?
I don't know.
I don't know.
There's a printer back there before you print the second page of the minutes, please. This one, I can't make it work. Print one page. Right there. They're all in. This one just. We're working on that, John, we'll get, the printer. That's the printer.
Well, the one thing I see that could solve this problem is I believe that the 3 supervisors and the auditor are the four people that need to be at this meeting. There's a lot of questions that the auditor has to answer. And if you're not here, Melissa, it handicaps what's going on. You know, you do get a salary and a pretty good benefit package. And as far as I can tell, that's part of the deal, is to attend the meeting.
Well, and until the January, there was not every Thursday night meeting. And I have a family that's very active in sports, and I'm not gonna lie, I love my kids. I love to just watch them participate in activities. And Thursdays, initially when this started, I said we're really hard, Tuesdays and Thursdays. I recommended maybe Wednesdays. And that was not taken into consideration. So, I mean, I appreciate that. I try to have my staff here, and, you know, I wish there was better balance with maybe 2-day meetings or 2-night meetings or something. But also to that communications open. I'm in the office every day. And if they have a question regarding something, they can always stop in, visit with me. I mean, this is probably the least the supervisors have ever, I mean, prior to this board, supervisors were in and out of my office weekly.
Okay.
So, I mean,
I
that
can-
communication too goes both ways, so.
Okay, but the point here is, I think you'd have a hard time finding a board that doesn't meet in the evening.
Actually, in the state of Iowa, I think we are the only county right now that has 3 night meetings. Most of them, if they do have it, it's a quarterly night meeting, once a
Okay,
quarter.
well, I'm just speaking of here in this.
We did a survey.
No, the county,
Yeah, I'm
the
just.
counties meet during the day.
Yeah.
They don't meet at night.
I'm sorry, what was that?
The counties meet during the day. All the counties in Iowa, we're the only one that has night meetings.
Okay, and why are we having this night meeting?
Because
Why?
Other
is-
people had it.
People voted for us.
Because this is one thing that people wanted, they like the idea of being able to attend the meeting. And if it's wrong, you know, if you disagree, that's fine. But I would just say, so it's for the public, it's for the taxpayer. It's not for these guys that they're doing it on the night. They both were able to come, although Todd has to come off of this. It's more convenient for him maybe because he had a full-time job at Bella. But my point is, what I'm trying to say is that as far as volunteer boards, from the school board to church boards, to co-op boards, hospital boards, they all meet at night and not very many of them are paid. And so it's hard for me, I mean, as a taxpayer sitting back and watching, I don't understand it. I understand what you're saying, but it's a sacrifice on your part. But having a proxy here does not get the job done. Without you here answering those questions and getting the minutes correct.
And
I mean, that's
also
money
on
to
the
everything.
board too, to consider that and maybe reconsider their meeting times too, to have a happy medium for all of us. So, because, 3 nights a week, a month is tough, so.
I can,
I mean, my
I
daughter's
can,
in high school.
I've
plays
had
sports, and my
boys
son
and
plays
grandkids
Lots of sports and.
that I don't want to miss, and I
And when I
understand.
work 8 to 4:30, a full-time job, that's an additional requirement that I've never been asked
I understand.
before to do. So
I understand, but it is kind of part of your job. It really is.
it's part of my office's job, so we make sure that we get it right.
It's your handicap.
I just want to clarify, Woodbury County is every Tuesday at 4:30. And no, not every county in the state is during the day. So,
But they're not like at 6 o'clock at night.
well, they go past that.
Well, they may, but they don't start at 6 o'clock, and here it is, 8:13.
Oh, sorry. I guess I'll stand up then.
You just make one copy.
Yeah, well, there's several. Okay. You made like 100 copies when it finally started working. There you go. I'm just gonna do like we talked about in January and just take,
These are last week's minutes.
yeah, and read through them there and see what you think. Public comments, the only thing I'm taking out right now. get there in time? Public comments on that I struck out. I don't know where to start and stop.
Yeah, that's, I mean, and, you know, and I don't have, you know, because I think we talked about a compromise with public comment about having, you know, you could say, you know, whoever spoke about, you know, they gave public comment and their public comment was about the boilers, or their public comment was about the wind farm, or their public comment was about whatever. I don't have a problem with that listed so that people kind of know, oh, my neighbor was there and they were talking about this, so maybe I'll go talk to my neighbor. You don't have to put in the whole public comment.
Well, or you know, you like, well, House asked the board to be respectful to her staff. I have not been, I know they disagree with this. I have not been disrespectful to anybody that's on film. So never intentional of any sort in any way. So and that just cast a light of that where we need to be scolded about being respectful. Why don't we say the board would like the auditor's office to be respectful, like the clerk to be respectful and give us our minutes before she gives them the newspaper. I'll put that in the minutes. Does that make it sound very good for the clerk? We probably should have that in there. You see, if you're gonna do this game, but it says,
There is no game. I asked you to kindly be respectful to my staff. after
Well, I'm
the
gonna-
incident That happened in here
I-
the week before. So
there's film of all that, thank God.
there is,
There's film, and I kindly ask for the minutes before the newspaper gets them, so I don't have to sit here tonight at 8:20 at night trying to look over minutes. The newspaper already has it. We've never seen these before, ever. I was a clerk, I was a clerk.
I am upholding the code of Iowa and doing my job. I know you don't agree with that, and that's perfectly fine, but we are never going to come to an agreement on this. So I think at this point, it's best to just wait until the Attorney General, if whatever happens there, you've talked to Carl several times.
Yeah,
He has released a memo regarding this situation. We can fight about the minutes for 4 hours here, but it's not going to change how I'm doing things, and it's not going to change how you want things done.
but we're
So
all about,
at this point, it's just,
well, we're all about lots of information to the public, so whatever you think the code of Iowa means that the board can't have their minutes. Okay,
I'm not withholding this.
the newspaper has the minutes.
They're being given out.
Okay, the night of our meeting, 7 days later, while we're sitting here, apparently they got posted or right
The
when we
code
driving
says
up.
within 7 days, those minutes have to be published.
We haven't seen them. They used to be emailed to us, used to be, not anymore. We do not see the minutes. That you have to email them to the newspaper, don't you? How do you drive them over there? I mean, how do they get there?
I figured at this point in time, you guys have been telling me you've been watching the website and doing everything, so I figured it was just easier.
I would like to have the minutes before the newspaper has them. That would be something nice to have. Then we wouldn't be sitting here at 8:29 trying to read over these crazy things. And see if there's anything inaccurate, what needs fixed, because
I do think one thing though you need to realize is we are both elected and we are
Yes.
both equal. So we
Yes.
have to work together.
I'm trying to
I don't
be,
work for you.
I'm
And
sitting here as
that's
a,
one thing I don't think this whole time you have understood. You've been condescending to me, you've been condescending to my staff, you've been inappropriate, you've bullied us, you
False.
yelled at my staff. And at this point in time, we are not going to get to a mutual agreement on this. So we are just standing here gonna continue to fight, which doesn't help anyone.
I have been a clerk.
This part of the minutes is a small part in county government and how things should operate. You guys have way bigger issues to deal with.
I
I
know.
think it's funny how there's so much struggle over it, the minutes. So if it's just a tiny part,
Yeah.
nobody really cares.
Yeah,
Why are you guys putting up such a big fight
It's a-
about it?
Because
If we
we've
can't
done this
just-
for 11 years and and Judy did this for
Yeah,
How many
and I
years
think
before?
Judy said famously,
Close to 30
you
years.
know, because we asked, well, let's do it like when Judy was in it. Let's do it. And she said, no, things changed. Things have changed.
The thing that I,
And so if things have changed, let's, I know change is hard. Change is hard for everybody.
And we have
And
researched the code and we feel
and-
like we are honoring the code.
So
of
we-
So
we
I
feel
feel
like
like
we're
by
honoring
you
the code.
asking me not to put these things in there, you're asking me to violate the code of Iowa at
The
this
code-
point in time. And
we
that's
have
what
never
I'm-
asked-
I don't think we're asking you to do.
And that's how I feel you are.
And I wish.
That you feel, let's just say you feel that way. We've got to get our feelings out of this. Okay, so it is okay to omit some things, right? For Code of Iowa, you can omit complete comments, you can omit complete statements. Is that true? For the minutes.
what is required?
So you don't have to take minutes on everything, or you don't have to publish them. Some things can be omitted.
It specifically says in the code, the requirements, and I feel like right now I am handling that accurately.
Because some things that were stated are not on the minutes. And that's true, right?
We try to, if the board says anything specifically for a discussion item.
I just want to make that clear to the public.
Yes.
Like you can omit some things that are spoken, right?
She chooses
To-
what's.
For
okay.
clarify or whatever.
We try to.
Or is it word for word?
We are not court reporters.
Right.
We do
Okay,
not-
these are the things that people don't understand.
Right,
Like that there are actual things that are said at the meeting that are not put in there. And I just want that very clear. People will understand, this is a summary of what the auditor wants the minutes to be.
From an objective standpoint.
Well, nobody's objective. You
Who
just
holds
said
you
you
accountable?
feel a certain way. Feelings can't be in it, see? Feelings can't be. Now listen, I have an exact quote, and I want this in the meetings. Judy Clark tonight said, I don't want to expand the board. That's what she said. Her
When did
exact
I-
quote. Anyone else hear it?
that's the
I know,
conservation board,
but that was your quote.
but it was in
No,
context.
stop.
No, it was
This
in
is the
context when we were talking about the
Listen, it's
conservation.
my turn. This is the problem, though. I have a perfect example, and you cannot deny this. Do you hate being misquoted?
What I said.
No, I
No.
Do you hate being misquoted? That's my question.
The
You
question,
said these exact words,
Jerry.
exact quote.
what you have to look at the whole thing. If there was. No. No,
Stop talking.
stay calm.
Stop talking. When I'm up here, please, give me a second. Nobody can see the whole thing. If we're admitting, that's my point, and I'm being objective. I appreciate you're shaking your head no. You disagree?
if you read the paragraph.
Stop. You disagree, Melissa?
One at a time.
You're shaking your head no.
I'm just reading what she wrote.
So she's writing something wrong?
I'm shaking my head at anyone.
Okay, this is why these people shouldn't be up there, because they're shaking their head, and I feel very offended. But I'm gonna say, that's how I feel, because I don't know why she was shaking her head. But this is why feelings,
My head, so I apologize. If you felt I was shaking my head at you, I will try to control my smiles and my head at this point in time.
yeah, thank you.
It is true, the whole conversation can't be there. And that's
Okay,
why-
so that is the only point I want to make. Obviously, Judy didn't say that about the Board of Supervisors. And I want to make that clear, because I don't want anyone misquoted. And that means in the minutes too. Please, can you not see that rationale?
It's a perfect example.
May I speak now?
Yes, you may, I'm sorry.
If you read the minutes, we're talking about the conservation board and Todd says maybe we should expand or Jacob.
I know.
Then if
I
you
know
read,
that 'cause I
if you
was
read
here.
the whole, if you read the whole if you read the whole paragraph, it's when he.
Not
says
if
he
it's
wants
not
to
in the minutes.
When he says he wants to expand the board, or maybe we should expand the board.
But what if I didn't put that in my paper?
What if she does put it in there? I know, but but you gotta read the whole
Yeah, but
paragraph.
but she just said she can omit portions. I'm saying if she omits certain portions, it's gonna look like people, and that's what Todd is just very politely saying. I don't want people to misunderstand my point. So when we omit things, sometimes it's not all there. That's why they want to make sure that what they actually are trying to do is put forth.
And
I am not attacking anybody. I am setting a very good example. And if you can't see that, then you guys you're blind.
And it puts no one else to help look over. it. We were all here, it's our meeting. We don't get to say, wait a minute, that's not complete. Or that doesn't make sense, that there was a little more to that.
We all want transparency, and I'm sorry that I used that as an example. But it's the perfect example, because you said that exact thing. It wasn't about
In
the board of
response to
supervisors.
yours, yes.
But thank you.
Just a quick example from last week's minutes of the objectiveness of the public comment. These are the public comments that are listed. Jane Stimson would like an update on the wind ordinance. Brad Richards had public comments supporting purchasing new boilers. Wayne Anderson gave public comment about the windmills. Kate Iverson gave public comment about the reputation of Page County and professionalism with the way the board represents themselves. Auditor Wellhausen gave public comment about the minutes. Wellhausen asked the board to be respectful to her staff. Wellhausen stated Attorney General Opinion 82-113 states the text and format of the Board of Supervisor minutes are determined by the auditor for publication as required by statute. That is not objective, Melissa.
That's not.
There is nothing objective about that. To give other people, not even pro or for or against, sorry, I feel so loud in this. This person gave public comment about windmills, and then you get 4 sentences. Like you're not objective, and that's the issue. And Sherry was pointing to a good point, and you would never answer it flat out. You are going way past what's required, and not in a good way. What is required is pretty simple. And then the board can decide to clarify or make something more or less. The auditor is required, as it says in the one that you keep quoting, the auditors is responsible for that as far as what is required. What is required? Since I'm talking to you, I'll wait till you're done talking to somebody else. What is required is very simple, and you would never answer that straight with Sherry. Another quick example of how it is not objective. When we talk about the roads, I am so sorry, this sounds terrible to me. Oh, thank you. Kissing it, huh? Oh, here we go. We talk about the roads update. No, sorry. Give me just a second because I want to say it. Caitlin Holmes. You know that. I know I should have said it, but you sound pretty snarky about it.
Oh, I didn't. We were asking.
That's a lie, Melissa. That's a lie. You have talked to me with my name many times. It's not a big deal. I'm not offended by somebody not knowing my name, but you're not telling the truth. Okay, so where it said the part about fixing the roads. I'm very sorry. I'm gonna find it because oh, here we go. I'm sorry.
Paper copy.
Maybe that would help. Where Judy asks Jacob why J55 is important to him. Yeah,
It's right there in the third paragraph. Here, just take a paper copy.
third paragraph.
Fourth paragraph.
Right. Oh, I think I have it turned off. Thank you, though. That was a good idea. Oh, right here. In the whole roads talk, we have Clark asked Holmes why J55 is so important when we have worse roads. That's not pertinent to the discussion that happened, but if you're gonna include that, what is pertinent was Jacob's response.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's not listed there.
Yeah.
It's because it's been bumped from the 5-year plan multiple times because it used to be hard surface and then they chipped it up.
Yeah.
His response was in depth there. And he answered the question very clearly.
Said it was
You
answered.
cannot sit there and pretend that this is objective. I just had to point a couple very quick, haven't even read through the whole thing, examples when you state that. And this is exactly why this issue is coming up, because you're not objective. You promote the topics and the people that you want to promote, and you knock down the topics and the people that you don't want, that you don't care about. And I think it is important to note, because a lot of people don't understand this, that how the minutes are done have changed drastically in the last couple of months. It's not, Melissa's always done it the same, and Jacob's mad now, and Todd's just joining in with him. No, the minutes and the way they are done and the process for how they are done have changed phenomenally in the last few months.
That's very true on that. And the comment was explained, and JD even stepped in and gave that it was on the 5-year plan. I had him come back up here and talk about it on the 5-year plan. I also mentioned that road was put on the 5-year plan before I was even a supervisor. It was insinuated that I was trying to have a pet project. I wasn't even here. I couldn't vote for that. And you insinuated that, and that's in our minutes forevermore in the newspaper. It says, well, Homestead, he uses it for equipment and when he goes to rock quarry. I went down that road to tractor and I passed by a rock truck. The dust was so bad, another rock truck was coming. I said it was dangerous. It used to be a paved road. It got ground up. There's a lot of traffic. JD answered the question. It proved it had nothing to do with me voting for it. It had already been approved before I was even on this board. But now the minutes make it insinuate that I'm trying to have a pet project, that I'm trying to get money to quicker because it's my pet project. And that's false.
Because you had mentioned that in the meeting
But
before.
why isn't on the minutes the truth of it? What's more important? That I drove down the road in a tractor and there's a lot of dust on, it was dangerous? Or that JD said, and I said, this is on the 5-year plan, it was ground up, it was put there before I was even on the board. That would be a pretty specific answer by the guy who makes the 5-year plan. That's not even here.
It's now after 8:30. Do you think you could go ahead and do your minutes and we can end the meeting?
I wish we'd got them sooner. So what do you want to take and leave out of the minutes, Todd? What do you want to do? We need to do it now. We don't need to put it off. Because it just, when the Attorney General looks at this, it's been 7 days. I want them to know we went through it. These are the minutes we approved. I can't believe there's no board in America that can't approve their own minutes. So we need to make sure we do it right. So what do you want us, since that's not objective. I don't mind leaving all that stuff, but that's not objective. Do we cut? This is what stinks. That's why we have to cut almost all comment, because there's such mixed in stuff that's not right. With good stuff around it. That is not true. There should be more there. There should be less.
Okay.
That's why we have to just broadly. I think. That's not the whole conversation.
Well, obviously, the discussion on Johnson Run probably needs to stay.
Yeah, that's fine. I think that's fine. Oh, the boiler things. There's a lot of information that was said. I just haven't seen if there's anything that paints it just totally out of sorts. When you get to discussion, it was very difficult to minutes. Minutes could be way easier if we followed Robert's rules minutes. What are you gonna do on that? It's mixed all around.
Yeah, then
You know where it said the top of the second page where it says budget, that second sentence, where it says approve the boiler if she can find the money in the non-departmental and local option budgets. I'd like to add to that, because I said that there over and over, as suggested for the last 2 weeks by Home. I said that over and over and over, and that was the comment. So I'd like to add that, that was in there. If we're gonna leave all this discussion, I don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, I would leave all the boiler discussion because probably a lot of it's pertinent to
Yeah, I
our
want to
decision.
see the number. So I want to add that, here where I want to add that.
Yeah.
Okay. Then go down to the Winterset property. I don't think that's a problem. You,
No, I would just say that we, on the Winterset property one. Oh, yeah, the discussion on the Winterset property, probably leave Michael Winter, the attorney
yeah,
for the homeowner, will be sending a letter to the board. And
That's in your folder.
and that would
yeah.
be,
and it's-
okay, so we did get it.
Yeah, the
Yeah, the rest of that
communication's fine.
probably doesn't matter.
Now, the minutes discussion, that's a whole lot of stuff. We want to do it all that. It's all over the place. It says Clark wants the minutes to be thorough and complete. Guess what? Some of you have no why.
Well, yeah, I would like to not have,
Define that.
like, the board together voted against the minutes. It wasn't just Jacob. So, yeah, so I mean, I would,
Yeah, that's true. So what do we do with all that?
because where it says Holmes does not approve of the minutes. That's, I mean, to me, it was, the board discussed the minutes and we amended them somehow.
Last week, we didn't know. But it's just me saying, we both agree these were not right. We have to work.
Right, and you could put in there that we voted, because we did vote 2-1.
No, last week we didn't. We let them this week. We did it this time because
Oh, because, yeah, we didn't
it
have,
was such a deal. So just left.
sorry.
That's easy to mix up. So all that stuff, I don't know what to do. Just want to take, let's say no action was taken on the minutes and strike it all.
Yeah,
That's just,
because
it's too much. I can't. It's too much non-objective, this, that, whatever.
yeah, I would be good with getting rid of.
Because we didn't take any action anyway. Okay, no action was taken, then we adjourned. So here, I've taken that. Here's what I've done. Have a look at it. That's down. You guys look at it, make sure it's all right. That's,
I did give the auditors specific dates of minutes.
yeah, that means, oh, is that in there?
Yeah, that's in there. Do we own
You
it?
can leave it if you want. Scratch it out of there and leave it if that's specific dates. Just draw a box around it, try and leave. I'm gonna leave it up there.
Then look off on this. Oh.
Yeah. That in there. Look good?
Yeah,
Okay, you wanna look at them, Judy? See if we mess with them? Okay, you wanna look at it, just so you have the opportunity.
Nope.
We have the corrections there, and motion to
I'll make a motion that we approve this minutes for June 22nd.
corrected minutes,
Amended minutes.
amended minutes. Okay, I'll second that motion. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
All right, got that? All fast. First thing we done fast. Now hand those to the clerk, please, so we don't forget. Whatever the other ones. Okay, now, we one other thing on here before we adjourn. I'd kind of like to publish our minutes that are correct. That's gonna cost something, but we've been publishing all kinds of minutes and false things. I don't know half everything. So I don't know if we need to have them dug up. It's all the minutes that's not published. I'd kind of like to publish. What do you think?
Well,
I hate to spend money, but I don't want to do it. I don't know what to do.
I wonder, could we, when we send the minutes to the paper and we already title it unofficial minutes, is there a way to put in there to see the official minutes of the, please go to the website to see the official amended minutes? After you send them to the paper, could they say that at the bottom? For official amended minutes, please see the website.
Yeah. I mean,
it's-
that's better what it is.
It doesn't stop things already getting out there. But I don't think we're gonna be able to stop that anyway,
Until we get
until we get,
high. I'm just trying to throw it out there. It's a shame that the actual official minutes of the board are not getting printed in the newspaper, and we are willing to come in. I call a meeting Tuesday morning on Zoom. I'd call a meeting on Tuesday morning on Zoom, 8:30, to do the minutes. You send them to us Monday at noon or Monday at 4, I don't care. And we'll look at them that night and we'll amend our minutes before the paper deadline. I'm fully okay with that, and we fine with that. And I give several days to go over it. We could take our time at home to go through it. And we could amend our minutes before the newspaper deadline. So we are not choosing to not do that. When the question is posed that, well, I have to send them in 7 days and you don't have a meeting, we are willing, or I am willing. Are you willing? Tom?
yep, I'd be willing to do whatever.
We would like to have the minutes. Make a motion on that. I make a motion that we would like to receive the minutes by Monday at 4:00. The draft minutes from the previous meeting. I make a motion the board would like to receive from the clerk the draft minutes by Monday at 4:00. Yeah.
One second.
And that's to be clarified the following Monday, the third day of the meeting. But that's just for clarification. Monday, receive draft minutes.
Of the previous meeting. Yeah,
And then just to give everybody a heads up. Friday, I might put on an agenda for a Zoom meeting on the Tuesday at 8:30. Or I'll send the agenda. I'd like this to be done. Just for the minutes. We'll see what happens. But that's just a heads up. I'll send that to the agenda. On Friday, so we have plenty of time, and then if we receive these on Monday at 4, we can look at them and not do this in the meeting again. So that's what we'll do. So we've now discussion on that. So all those in favor of doing that? Aye. Nay. Judy voted nay. Huh? Oh, 4th.
yeah, the 4th, yeah. No way.
That's neat.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah,
We'll have an agenda. We'll do it on Wednesday morning. So they have plenty of time to do the paper before closing. So just be aware, I'm gonna send maybe make an agenda to have a meeting on by Zoom if we receive these minutes like we asked. Okay. So then, I guess we'll leave that alone. Yeah, we did pass it. So are you? If we take a recess, would you produce the minutes from tonight?
We don't have the space.
Okay, so there's no minutes tonight, so we will try again Monday. So we have two options. We'll try again Monday to see if we get them by 4. All right. All that said, all that done. We good? We do everything?
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thank you for coming.